friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show, and today you guys are on episode 242, Being Real About Fleeing Canada with Torva. Now you guys, you've been on the show, you've been around for a while, you're probably familiar with Torva's story, but did you know that we had a whole ass event here in Kelowna when she came up to visit just under a month ago, and I happened to be able to be the tech girly on there, and we were able to record it. So the first part of this episode is about 45 minutes. I'll make sure to put the timestamps in the description. Is going to be the event where Torva had explaining to those tuning in live and listening in the room her whole from start to finish how she fled Canada and how that all went down. Beautiful presentation. So proud of this woman for her strength, literally going through remission and treatments at this time and then coming up here and sharing her story. Unreal strength, let me tell you guys. And then after that, I bring her back on to talk about her trip up here, everything that has happened since, how she felt about it, and just our normal shit talking the government, which we love to do. Even though she's down in the States, she very much still cares about Canada because her family's here, her friends are here, and if she could be, she'd be here too. So Canada's still very, very important, even though she's now permanently living in Texas. And I honestly cannot be more grateful for her always using her voice and her experience to amplify other stories and give them hope, help them advocate for themselves, and just give them a little bit of direction on where to go in this absolutely fucked up healthcare system here in Canada. But before we get on to this episode, I just want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on notifications if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or Rumble. Leave a review, leave a comment, help your girl out. We've got couple more weeks left, guys, and hopefully we'll be hitting 20,000 by the end of the year. So anything you could do to help share so I can hit that milestone is so incredible. I can't even believe I'm at this milestone already. That is all thanks to you amazing guests, my amazing listeners and supporters. But if you can help me just get those last 200 in the next 2 months, I'd be so fucking grateful. And if you are looking for me on social media this year, you can find me on TikTok or Instagram at the Be Real Babe or the Be Real Babe podcast. If you're finding Friday uploads are not enough and you want more of this energy, like why wouldn't you, right? We have Monday on YouTube, Keep It Up with Canada, where I bring you a couple stories of what's happening currently in our country every week. And then on Wednesdays, Internet Insanity, where I bring some fucked up shit that I find online, whether that's TikTok, Netflix, internet, Instagram, who knows, celebrities, criminals, it's all over the place. Past stuff, new stuff. It's a really good time over there. I just get cozy, usually with one of the cats, and we just talk about what the fuck's going on, with Friday being the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or Rumble. So thank you guys again so much for being here. I'm coming to the last couple months, 2 months, couple last weeks here of season 10. And as I've pretty much alluded in a few times, I am going to continue on. There's no way I'm stopping what I'm doing. I cannot. But as always, I will take a break before season 11. And I also want to address something funny that's going to happen here because, as you guys know, my light went out for the last 2 episodes. It's on this one, but y'all are going to be a little bit confused because the next 2, she's broken. And listen, sometimes we don't always get to record in the ways that things are being published, okay? So please don't mind if you're wondering. Going forward after 244, 243, 245, we've got a dead light. Going into 245, we should be good. Thank you, babe, for fixing it. I was so devastated, but we're back now, full force. Like I said, in the next coming episodes, I've had nothing but tech issues this weekend. So thank you guys for sticking around with me. As you know, I'm not a tech girly. I just like running my mouth and talking to people and giving them a platform. That is what I'm good at. If you're a tech person, you want to help me for free, would love it. Can't afford to pay you, but would love to have you. Anyways, guys, there's my rant. Thank you guys again so much. And let's get to this amazing episode.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every one of you being here. We may have some other folks joining us in a little bit, so don't be shy. If the door opens, we'll welcome them in. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had. Those of you who are joining us online, so happy to have you. Nobody thinks that they're going to die. I mean, you know that you're going to die, but you don't really know that you're going to die. You're never thinking really consciously about it. But I promise you that you have an estimate in your mind, an idea when you think that's going to be. If you really tune into that, you'll recognize that you're taking it for granted that you're going to live to a certain age. For me, that number in 2023, I thought I was going to live to be 100. I was in a really great place in my life. My daughter was 18. She was going off to college. I was fairly healthy. At least I thought I was healthy. I had a business that I was starting. I was working full time. Life was good. My husband and I were going to be just the two of us for the very first time in our life. But during that year, I was having some symptoms. At first, I brushed them off, things like fatigue. That's an easy one to brush off since I was building a business and working full time and had a family and I was working out. Then I started getting shortness of breath when I would work out, which was unusual because I'd been working out for 10 years. Then I started having bloating. So I finally went to the doctor in May, and I said, I'm having shortness of breath. I'm having chest pain. This is at the ER. And the ER doctor does no imaging at all, does a blood test and says, you're fine. It's just anxiety. You're having panic attacks. So I left. I carried on with my life. And about a month later, I went to my own doctor, having the same problems. Now I'm having more problems. I've had a menstrual cycle that lasted a month long. And I told her about that. I told her about the ER visit, and she said, it's probably exercise-induced asthma. Why don't we give you an inhaler, see how that works? And then if that doesn't work, come back. Had a pap smear. Took me 6 weeks to get the results of that pap smear back, and it was abnormal. Okay, everybody's running away. What's going on?
Just checking to make sure the volume's good. That's all.
Yep. Good. So it took me 6 weeks to get the pap smear back. And the pap smear was abnormal. But it was not cancer abnormal. It was just some endometrial cells or something like that I didn't really understand. But not to worry, I had a follow-up in 2 months. So by that point, that would have been 3 months after this exam. And by that point, by the time I got these results back, it was my birthday. It was my 43rd birthday. I was getting bloated all the time. I was getting bloated every time I would eat. And when I say I was getting bloated, I lived 8 months pregnant. So in August, I went to the walk-in doctor. Doctor, I'm getting bloated. I look 8 months pregnant. I hurt sometimes all over, like my stomach and my pelvis and my chest. And the doctor at the walk-in clinic, he actually listened to me breathe. He sloshed my belly around and decided that it was just full of air. I had irritable bowel syndrome. I had no other symptoms that were appropriate for irritable bowel syndrome. I didn't have gas. I didn't have constipation. I had none of that. He was absolutely sure, waved his hand in our face. My husband had actually come with me this time because I needed someone else there to let these doctors know, like, something weird is going on. All of these things seem disconnected. The bloating, the shortness of breath, the period being weird, like none of that seems connected at all. But I left that day. He told me all I needed was Metamucil every day for the rest of my life, and I would be A-okay. A month later, I ended up here. I can't word for ER. I woke up with this pain in my side. And I thought, it's September 1st, and I woke up this way. And I thought it must be from running. Like I had run the day before. Maybe I pulled something. But you know, like when you pull something, like when you move around different ways, it changes a little bit. It hurts a little more one way or a little less another way, or you sit, stand. All throughout the day on September 1st, I noticed it wasn't changing. I'm like, that's really weird. What could this be? So I talked to my husband about it, who was a health coach and a personal trainer. He agreed it was weird, and he said, sorry, but if this is still a thing tomorrow, we're going back to the doctor, going to the ER. So we went to bed, and I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and the pain was exactly still there. So I did what I think any rational person would do at 3:30 a.m. I rolled over and I Googled it. What the hell is going on with my body? And it gave me some weird, potentially serious answers. So I slipped out of bed. This is 4 a.m. at this point. Didn't want to disturb my husband. I took our only car to the ER. And the doctor there put me in the x-ray and said, you have fluid in your lungs. It's probably walking pneumonia. He even thought it could be from the fires that were happening across BC, that maybe somehow it had triggered fluid in my lungs. Then he threw me in the CT scanner. Now, by the point that I was going into the CT scanner, I was talking to my husband because he texted me at 6 a.m. He said, where the hell are you? I told him, I'm in the ER. I have fluid in my lungs. He said, get them to scan your abdomen while you're there. So I asked the doctor, and I had 4 doctors that morning. So this was doctor number 2. I asked doctor number 2 for him to scan my abdomen and pelvis while he's scanning my chest. And he said, no, it's not related. Okay. Sorry, Donovan, I tried. I'm on my way. Like, he walks 4 kilometers, 7 o'clock in the morning to the hospital to come and be my champion. And I'm so grateful that he did, because he got there right around the time Dr. 3 got there, a lovely woman, and he pled with her. He said, listen, I know you've already done her chest scan. The other doctor wouldn't do an abdomen scan, but she's been having all these symptoms. I think it's related. Can you please put her in the scanner? And you can see the wheels turning. This doctor knows that she could get into trouble for this. Like, you could kind of see that happening in her mind. She's gauging whether or not she should do this. So she agrees. And when the results come back, it's Dr. 4. He was also a great doctor. He sat us down and he said, I can't diagnose you, but this looks like stage 4 cancer. And we said, I just felt the floor fall out from under me. Stage 4 cancer? I always used to think that I would be one of those people that would know if I have cancer. I always think you know if you have cancer. Surely, like, who the hell can get stage 4 cancer right now? No. Me, apparently. And he said to us, I can't diagnose this. It looks like stage 4 ovarian cancer. This is typically what we see with the presentation. Well, what are we supposed to do? What do we do next? Can you give us a referral to BC Cancer? I can't give you a referral. But if it is stage 4 cancer, you have the means to leave the country to get treatment. I would do that. Proceeds to tell us that he had a friend who did that. And so we leave the hospital, not 100% sure it was cancer, no referral, and scared, terrified of what was going to happen next. So the next couple of weeks has to be this game of find the cancer, because, again, it can't refer me. My doctor can't refer me. Even looking and seeing it looks like cancer without a biopsy. There's just one problem with that. Ovarian cancer is way in there, and you can't just get a biopsy of your ovaries. That's not fun. So eventually they figure if they take some fluid out of my abdomen, that they can biopsy that. They could try to biopsy that and hope that that confirmed cancer. Thankfully, it did. So September 18th, and this is 2.5 weeks from when I was in the ER, months after the symptoms have started, I finally get the confirmation that, yes, I do have stage 4 ovarian cancer. In those 2 weeks, first let me back up. We share this picture. I always share this picture because this is the moment I found out this is just me and cancer right now. I found out I was alone because I had gone to the ER by myself to get fluid drained out of my lungs, which they wouldn't do, which is another story. So I found out, and I was alone. I found out from my gynecologist. But I felt in that moment that I had some purpose, some reason that I had cancer, and that I was going to be okay. So that's why this weirdly serene picture always comes up when I tell the story. But what you don't see is that I was deteriorating really fast. My health was going down. I went to the ER 4 times. 4 times trying to get my fluid drained out of my lung. Every time I would go, they would tell me the same story. Your oxygen saturation levels are good enough. We don't have a radiologist on hand to drain you, and it would be dangerous. We would just be sticking a needle in your lungs. So go home. The problem is when they said that, every time that number that they would give me for oxygen saturation would get lower and lower. So at first they said, well, come back if it's below 95. So I came back when it was 94. Well, it's really okay. Come back if it's below 92. So I came back when it was below 92. Surely now they're going to do something. They wouldn't even admit me. They just kept giving me a lower number. The last number they gave me was 88. Like, your oxygen saturation in your blood can be as low as 88. They said, and you'll be fine. They weren't paying attention to how fast I was breathing, my rate of respiration, which is actually a key part of the determination of whether or not they should be helping you. So that was happening. You know, I was sleeping on a wedge pillow because when you have fluid in your lungs, it hurts to lay flat. It's crushing pain. I had a partial lung collapse. My health was just deteriorating so fast. I was sleeping in my daughter's room. We had just dropped her off at school like 2 days before I went to the ER for the first time. She had gone off to college. So in her room, where she had been a lively teenager, excited about her life, now lay a dying mother, grieving for an unlived life, unsure if she was ever going to make it to the next year. I ran a 10K in July. It's probably my best 10K ever, probably because of the inhaler. But I couldn't even walk by this point more than a kilometer. I couldn't go up my stairs without taking a break. I was in bad shape, and it just kept getting worse. When you're in a situation like that, what do you do? There's only one thing you really can do to stay alive, and that's refuse. I refused to go down like that. I refused to let that be my story. I basically said I refused to die, but I certainly refused to just wait, because this entire time I'm waiting and waiting, and when is BC cancer going to get to me? When? Waiting, and I refused. More importantly, I refused to surrender my own authority over myself, because you are the boss of you. You have authority over your own life. Nobody else, unless you give it to them. I said that's not going to be my story. And to refuse, you have to be willing to do a few things. You have to wake up and face what's really going on in front of you. What is the real truth? What is the story? What's really happening? Well, what was happening was rather an uncomfortable truth. I was dying, and nobody was getting to me. I couldn't even get the fluid drained out of my lungs in the hospital. I was dying, and nobody was coming to save me. That was the uncomfortable truth. Then you have to be willing to make decisions. Now, you can't defer them. So I made the decision, because I took ownership of my life. This is my life. It is not going to be surrendered to anybody else's hands. So I made the decision. Donovan came home September 25th, and I said, Donovan, I'm going. See, I'm a dual citizen of the United States, and I'm an Air Force veteran of the United States. So we knew that there was a chance, small chance, that I could come to the United States and get veterans benefits. I didn't have them yet, I had to activate them, and there's this whole process. So it was a real crapshoot. It was a real test of faith. But my choices were to stay and wait and hope like hell somebody got to me in time, or to go. Someone could still get to me in time in BC, and now I was going to try the US system too, to see if that would work for me. So I told him September 25th when he came home from work, I'm going. I'm going to the United States. He breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God. I wish you had gone sooner. But here we are. The next afternoon, this is me. I'm sitting in a wheelchair at this point because I cannot walk onto the ferry myself and take my suitcase. I need that much help. And I'm saying a very tearful goodbye to my family, because he's a personal trainer, and he worked physically on the ground with clients, and my daughter was in school. So I'm getting on a ferry to go to the United States without my family. And none of us know if we're going to see each other again. My health was in such a bad shape that we didn't know what was going to happen next. Obviously, we saw each other again. So I'm standing here, but that moment, they wheeled me away. I was crying, because all I wanted was my family. My parents met me on the other side in Vancouver, and they are still haunted by the fact that when I got off that ferry, when they saw their daughter, who was strong, normally, and healthy and vibrant, being wheelchaired off the ferry, they said I looked like I had 2 weeks of life left in me, maybe. The next morning, guess who called me? BC Cancer. And they said, we got you an appointment October 6th here in Victoria. And I said, great, I'll be there. Because at that point, why not? Maybe this was all for nothing and I could go home. In the meantime, I got set up in the VA system. I had to go to the ER only 2 days after getting to the United States. They had to take care of my lungs because, again, I've been drowning this whole time in my own lungs. I got taken care of by the VA. The doctor there was amazing. He met me at the door and said, I'm going to take care of you. And he was true to his word. He even went to the chief of oncology for the whole region in the Veterans Affairs system and said, get this woman cancer care right away. And the chief of oncology actually made sure that I would get care immediately. It was more than I could have hoped for. And I got to get treatment at Fred Hutch Cancer Center. They set me up with an appointment there, which is an amazing facility. So I thought, though, what's going to happen? In the meantime, BC Cancer called again and said, yeah, that appointment you have in person, it's going to be a phone call appointment now because the doctor's too busy to see you in person. So I get hospitalized October 11th because can't breathe. I have my oncology appointment at Fred Hutch with a gynecology oncologist October 16th. Amazing doctor. And there's a couple of key things that happen here. So I had my phone call appointment with the BC Cancer doctor on October 6th. He's a regular oncologist. So two key things that are very different here. One, oncologist versus gynecologic oncologist. With a gynecologic cancer, there are multiple studies that show much more success, survivorship, length of survivorship, progression-free survival when you're treated by a gynecologic oncologist. The second is, did you notice that my gynecologic oncology appointment was actually in person? Because go figure, you actually need to physically examine your clients, your patients. That did not happen in BC. But that's not even the worst of it. Finally, 50 days after I had walked in that ER with the pain in my side, I finally got my first treatment here at the University of Washington, Fred Hutch Cancer Center. So ovarian cancer is very aggressive. The most common kind is called high-grade serous carcinoma. It's the most organized and the most aggressive. It's deadly, and it's called a silent killer because it often is not caught until later stages. And there was a study that actually shows that if you wait more than 30 days from when this cancer is detected to when you get your first treatment, your 5-year survivor rate, your 5-year the chances of being alive 5 years later drop from 64 to 32%. That's just more than 30 days. So that delay did measurable harm, undoubtedly. But that's not even the worst of it, because what happened to BC Cancer? So when I had talked to the doctor, he said, I'm going to get you in for care right away. This is a priority. I'm going to call the Kamloops River Hospital. This is October 6th. I call the Kamloops River Hospital and get you in for next week. I'm going to put the referral in, get you taken care of. And I thought, yeah, maybe I can go home. Maybe this is all for nothing. So I had my treatment on October 20th. I still hadn't heard from BC Cancer. Another 2 weeks went by. Where 5 total weeks after I had this call with the doctor went by, and I finally called BC Cancer and I said, yeah, my name's Kristen, and I was supposed to get treatment. What happened? They don't call you back at BC Cancer, by the way. So they called the Kamloops River Hospital. The Kamloops River Hospital called me, and I get this really snarky phone call. That's basically saying, who are you? What makes you think you should have treatment here? Well, I told them I talked to an oncologist. Well, who did you talk to? Who did you talk to? What was his name? They not only didn't have a record of the referral, they didn't even have notes in their system that I had talked to an oncologist, which they're supposed to. So this whole rigmarole goes around. The oncologist calls me freaking out. He is panicked. What happened? Are you okay? Are you okay? And he's like that because he knows that had I actually been waiting for them, I'd be dead. There's no question in my life, in my mind, I would be absolutely dead if I was relying on their system. So I finally, that point was the first time I told anybody in the Canadian healthcare system that I was in America getting treatment. He was visibly and audibly relieved when he heard that. Well, what are you going to do? I already knew BC Cancer had failed so many people. I knew even my next door neighbor's sister had been run through the rails by them. Other friends, neighbors, all kinds of people I knew had been hurt by BC Cancer. So there's only one thing that I could think that I needed to do. I had a moral obligation in my mind to sound the alarm, to say something, to speak publicly, because what are they going to do to me? I'm already in America getting treatment, and other people are afraid to speak out because the system is punitive. In fact, right around the time that I did speak out, another woman was dropped from BC Cancer because she had gone to America for treatment. It's like, let them do that to me. I would welcome that. I had nothing to fear. I was facing death. What are they going to do to me? When you realize what is really important in your life, when you realize, like, when you're facing death, you realize that things like what other people are going to say about you does not matter anymore. So I picked up my phone and I went on Instagram and I did a 13-minute live and I told my story. I shared it and I went to bed. The next morning I woke up to a phone call from a senior editor from Global News who shared that his wife had died in her early 30s because of BC Cancer's negligence and incompetence. And he wanted to expose them for what they have done to me. So I was on the news. And as I'm sitting there with my parents, watching myself, watching the news, watching this whole segment go on, oh, Adrian Dix comes on to give his comment. The most dismissive, I'm now calling him Dismissive Dix. He said, the healthcare system doesn't always get it right, but individuals are welcome to complain. As if to say what happened to me was a total one-off. As if to say the complaint system even works for anybody. Those words obviously didn't sit well with me, especially as so many people were sending me their stories. They were reaching out to me online saying, hey, this happened to me. This happened to my sister, my stepfather, my cousin, my mother, my wife, my husband. So many stories, dozens of stories flooded my inbox. And his words were just ringing in my ears. And I'm like, we all know this is not a one-off. We all know that this is not an accident. This is caused by systemic problems. Why does the healthcare system get it wrong so often? Why? What is going on here? So as I'm asking this question, I'm hearing these thoughts. I started looking deeper. 1 in 2 Canadians are going to face cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 2. That means you or someone you know is probably going to be dealing with this shit. Well, fear is a sneaky little thief. It wants you to play quiet. It wants you to sit down and shut up. And it's telling me, you said your piece. Nobody cares. Shut up. Be quiet. You've done enough. Go focus on your cancer treatment. Fear is really sneaky. But the fear, what is it? That fear is telling you, don't get canceled. Don't rock the boat. People won't like you anymore. See, you were afraid of being ostracized. That's actually a survival mechanism because our ancestors, primal humans, when they were ostracized, that was their death. That was the death of them. When we can recognize that that's our fear, then we can move past that because being ostracized will not kill you. It may suck, but it won't kill you. I realized maybe my part wasn't over. And maybe I had more to do. But stepping into the public to do something to make a change, this is a form of leadership. It's different than leading in a company. It's a social leadership. And it takes some things. Mostly it takes courage of conviction. And I think a lot of people lack courage of conviction today. What do you need to have courage of conviction? Well, first you have to have convictions. You have to have morals, core values, or even just the belief that your life matters. That's your conviction. And now you have the courage to stand up for that. How far are you willing to go to stand up for what you believe in? Or to stand up for yourself? Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. It's never going to feel comfortable. That's fear. Fear isn't comfortable. But do you have the courage and conviction to stand up for what you believe? And having faith helped me tremendously. I'm not necessarily Christian, but I believe that there's something greater than me. And I believe that it was tapping me on the shoulder that day that I got my cancer diagnosis saying, don't you worry, I've got plans for you. And you're going to be okay. I felt that I had a higher purpose in this. I knew this task was appointed to me, and I needed to do something. And that last piece is that something. It's aligned action, or inspired action, if you like. If you don't like the word aligned, inspired action. This is something that is authentic to you. It's yours alone. It's the action that you take. It's not violence, and it's not mimicking what other people would do. It's something that's unique to you. It plays upon your strengths, uses your gifts authentically. For me, I've always been a really good writer. So I wrote and published an open letter to help minister Adrian Dix. And again, others shared it with the media. And again, I found myself waking up to calls from the media, being on the radio, being on TV, talking about what was going on. The next thing you know, my words are being quoted. Not just in the media. And this is my favorite. Our healthcare system isn't tripping over minor hurdles. It's plummeting off a cliff. We're not dealing with occasional misses. We're grappling with a chronically diseased system where inefficiency and neglect become the norm. It's probably like the most powerful thing I could have said. Then it was quoted in the BC legislature. I got to watch the health critic stand there and read my letter to Adrian Dix's face, which is more than I could have ever done. That letter is still published today, and I will not take it down, nor will I ever change who it's addressed to. This public pressure now is forcing Dave Beatty to acknowledge the problem publicly. Responds to me, and he says, we know there's a lot more to do on cancer care, do you think? Do you? Do you really think so? I'm not satisfied with the results, but we will deliver that care for people, and I think people are still waiting for that. So I didn't even just do what I told you. Behind the scenes, I was also creating this wave of pressure. I had all those stories that were coming to me, and I was connecting them to the media. So one by one, these stories were coming out of the media successively, over and over again. And then the letter comes out. And now there's this mounting pressure, and he has to respond. I unfortunately didn't get to enjoy it that much because I was in the hospital by this point with my surgery. The ovarian cancer surgery is very invasive. I was in the hospital from December 18th to the 26th. But I kept going, even after that, because I knew that the systemic problems had not yet been unearthed, and we still had a long way to go. So I continued the pressure. I was in a little documentary with Aaron Gunn, Fleeing for Their Lives, in case that title sounds familiar. And then on Rebel News, Left to Die, BC woman flees Canada twice for adequate cancer care. Did that see twice? I didn't even tell you that story yet. In February, 6 weeks after my surgery, I went home to visit. It's one of the few times I actually got to go home and visit. While I was there, I started having severe stomach pains, so much so that I was crying, and my husband made me go to the hospital, even though I walked in there this reluctantly because I did not want to go back there. Turned out I had a full bowel obstruction caused by scar tissue in my abdomen that basically cut off my intestines. So they put a nasogastric tube up my nose, to keep all the bile out, reduce the pressure, and left me there in the hospital for 5 days. They wouldn't do surgery on me because the surgeon said, quote, it would be a disaster if I did the surgery. You need to go to Vancouver. We need to transfer you. We just need the Vancouver doctor to accept you as a patient. And we're waiting. Days go by, and there's no sign of anybody accepting me as a patient. But while this is happening, I'm not allowed to eat or drink for obvious reasons. My intestines aren't working. They gave me no nutrition. In fact, they didn't even give me electrolytes without Donovan having to chase them down and say, hey, her magnesium is low. You can give her some? Her calcium's low. How about you maybe get a bag for her? So on the 5th day, I had already lost 15 pounds. And we knew what we had to do. I had to pull the nose tube out of my nose, the IV out of my arm, got in the car, and down to the 9 we went, down to the ferries. Hour and a half drive to the ferries, 2-hour ferry trip, and then another hour to get to the United States. Like this, because what we did was extremely dangerous. Too much pressure and the bowels can perforate. And by the way, I've been in cancer treatment, so I'm immunocompromised, so sepsis would be deadly. But I didn't have a choice, because my choice was to sit there in the Campbell River Hospital, where I likely would have perforated. My parents met us on the other side of the docks. My husband and I said goodbye, again, not knowing if we were going to see each other. He was pretty sure I was going to die. They raced me to the hospital in Seattle, and I'm barfing all the way. Green vomit, bile everywhere. I'm in massive pain because all the bile's like building up in my body again. Get to the ER at 4 o'clock. It took from 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock to get to that ER. They immediately give me pain relief. They admit me into the hospital. I'm in surgery in less than 48 hours. And it's a good thing because guess what? My bowels were perforating. They were able to save me. My malnutrition was so bad that they wrote severely malnourished in my chart and set me up with what's called TPN, so intravenous nutrition, while I was in surgery, which they don't do. That's how bad it was. So yeah, that's twice. Canada, that's twice. Had it been somebody else, they would have just died there. I can't imagine that someone that had less fortitude and was not willing to make the risk, or someone who didn't have the options would have just died there, waiting for something to happen. And that's unacceptable. All right, so I finished my treatment. I'm in remission. I go home. I'm advocating from Campbell River, and I think life is good. I can live in Campbell River for the rest of my life. I'm never going to get cancer again because I lived my purpose, and I'm positive, and I'm doing all the right things. I'm speaking out. I helped the Conservative Party with their platform, and I spoke to CBC News a few times as a correspondent or as a consultant. But December came along, and guess what? My cancer came back. This time, when he saw the markers, my BC oncologist goes, why don't we just wait a couple of weeks, and then we'll put you in a scanner. My US oncology team said, can you get here today? Because we've got a scanner bed open for you right now. So no contest. There we go. 3rd time, down to America. I'm diagnosed with recurrent ovarian cancer. My doctor says, well, I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. So at that point, we knew we have to leave Canada. So we started the green card application right at the same time that I started treatment. Finished remission, we moved. I now live in Texas. I'm medically exiled, essentially, because I can't get treatment here. This was our family's last photo together in Canada because our daughter is still at university here. And that's one of the hardest things for me is that I have to leave her in university here and go live in Texas. So I'm focused on my own healing, and I'm getting treatment down there or on an ongoing basis to try to keep the cancer from coming back. But I'm still watching healthcare go off a cliff up here. What is going on with the healthcare system in BC? And what's happening to Canadian healthcare and our rights is not okay. And that's why I'm standing here. That's why I came back. The system is collapsing, guys. The healthcare system is collapsing. More than 74,000 Canadians died on a wait list since 2018. At least 15,474 since 2023-2024. But that number is actually likely double because health authorities are not even required to report this information. Only some of them are reporting this information. So the number could actually be more like 148,000 Canadians since 2018. Almost 31,000 in a year dying on a wait list. That means they're waiting for diagnostics, or they're waiting for surgery, or they're waiting for a specialist, and they're dying. So what's the solution? How many of you have heard that we just need to give the healthcare system more money? Canada has like one of the highest spends on healthcare in the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So all the developed countries in the world, Canada is spending more against their GDP than most of those countries. Now, if we had better outcomes than we do, great, good, spend the money. But we don't. So where the hell is the money going? Pretty much administrators, bureaucrats, exactly. Where is it going? Even Justin Trudeau said that there's no sense putting more money into a broken system. They all know it's broken. So what the hell are they doing about it? There's not enough public pressure to change it. See, the feds have oversight, but they have no teeth with that oversight. There's nothing they can actually do other than take money away from the province, which won't actually help anything. They actually do take money away from any province that has any kind of privatized care that they're allowing their citizens to go do, including scans. So if the federal government knows that BC, for instance, is letting people get private scans out of their own pocket, the federal government is taking money out of their healthcare. The system is set up to protect itself. Are any of you familiar with the KB ruling in BC? So there's a surgical center that was basically shut down. They countersued. The government said this isn't right. This is a violation of people's rights. The courts upheld that it is more important to protect the healthcare system than to take care of individuals. Then the BC Supreme Court upheld the same ruling. And the Canadian court said, we're not touching that. We're not touching that. So unfortunately, we have a healthcare monopoly. More money goes in, corruption is unchecked, there's no oversight from the federal government, and people like me are left to fend for themselves, whether they have the money or not. That's the reality of Canadian healthcare. BC sees the biggest spike in emergency room wait times in Canada. The smiling rings. Canada's healthcare crunch, horrific in any way. Unprecedented 200 ER closures in 2 BC health regions. This is all 2025 and 2024. I'm sure you've heard about the OBGYNs that just resigned. They resigned because they were dissatisfied with how the government is treating women's health. That was their only form of pushing back. Patients are leaving ERs without care. I actually mentioned this to my daughter. She said that she knows students that have done this. 700,000 British Columbians don't have a doctor. They cannot get a family doctor. So where do they go when they don't have a family doctor? Go to the ER. If it's open, government's actions have doctors leaving their practice. Doctors are fed up. And there's many people that are clinging on in the system, that work in the system, that are trying to do the right thing and take care of patients. They are treated terribly. They are censured. They're silenced. They're given unfair conditions. It is terrible. And instead of listening to them, the government will go out and they'll recruit other doctors and nurses from other countries and not pay any attention to the people that are already in the system because it's corrupt. But it's free. It's free healthcare. It's free healthcare that's costing $19,000 for the average family in taxes. You're paying $19,000 as a family, and what are you getting from that? You don't get a doctor. You get told, yep, it's just irritable bowel syndrome. Good luck. This came from the Fraser Institute. And I just want to point this out. In America, a scary place where healthcare is so expensive, it's $25,000 a family. Or sorry, yeah, $25,000 a year per family. So not that much more for this awful healthcare where at least something happens to you if you get sick. So if you can't get care, you're waiting. You can't pay for care in your province. How is that not a violation of your rights? You have no choice. How is that not a violation of your rights? You have the right to the security of personal. I actually intended to be standing here in front of you telling you that I was suing the BC government. That was my big ask, and I was this close. I have a strong case. I had legal advocates, national legal advocates looking at my case, saying that it was a very strong case. Unfortunately, it would have cost $1 million, and the nonprofit that I was speaking with could not afford that. And no other lawyer wants to take the case so far that I've talked to. Not because it's not a good case, but because it costs them money. So would justice cost that much? This is not a free country. It is a pervasive problem. Our rights are being trampled on. Every direction. So what do we do about it? We need to speak up. We need to push back. You need to share your stories. Have conversations with people. One-to-one even. Don't be afraid of being canceled, because there are so many people that lost their life because of this system, or will lose their life because of the system. Here's what I know about rights. So as I said, I'm an American. We study the American Revolution over and over again. It's part of our lore. Every child learns about it growing up, and I know 3 things that are very important about rights. Rights need to be defended vigilantly, or they will be lost. And once they're lost, they're very difficult to get back. In a democratic society, in order for things to change, public opinion has to change, public pressure has to be created. You may not be willing to stand here and talk to a room full of people. You may not be willing to write an open letter. That's okay. You're good at something. Have conversations with people. Be willing to question what you've been told. Read past the headlines. Because without those conversations, we're screwed. Our rights are just going to keep getting taken away. The system is going to keep getting worse. It has gotten so much worse just in the last 2 years. I am not the woman who took living to 100 for granted anymore. Oops. Yeah. I went from assuming that I would live to 100 that year in 2023 to not knowing I was going to make it to the end of the year. I celebrated so hard when 2024 happened, just in my heart. And every year I do the same, because I don't take any day for granted anymore. I can't. I have to fight for the right to exist every day. But I'm speaking out because I'm still here. And there are so many cancer patients alone that I know are not still here. And I'm speaking out because they are not here. And they are not here because they were failed horrifically by BC Cancer or any Canadian cancer care agency. I'm here for those people that have not, that we have lost, but also the people that don't even know yet that they have cancer, that are about to go through what I just went through. That's why I'm speaking out. So even if you're afraid, you also have to speak to people and talk about these things and look at them, look harder at them, because it's going to be your neighbor, your friend, your mother, your sister, your aunt, your father, your stepfather. It's going to be someone you love, or stand up now for your future self. And remember, above all else, refuse. Refuse to go down quietly. Refuse to go down without a fight. Refuse to let them take your life. I have a few practical tips too, but I want to open up the floor to Q&A because I'm sure folks have questions, and I know you've been listening to me talk for quite a while now, and it's your turn. It's your turn. You can ask me anything, whether it's about the healthcare system, or what I went through. I'd love to hear what you have to ask me. Yes.
I wonder if, like you said, the last 2 years, the healthcare system has gone a lot worse. I
Yeah.
remember it was like, let's say, since 2020, around that time, or 2021, I'm not sure exactly when. So we've had a population explosion here, right?
Mhm.
Like in BC and across Canada.
Yeah.
So there's been, there's so many more people that come to Canada who living here now. And obviously, the larger the population gets that big that fast,
Yeah.
the resources are going to become scarcer and scarcer. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I have heard some people. I'm not sure if this is true, but I have heard that sometimes people from newcomers get prioritized over Canadians. Again, I can't
Yeah.
by that. The other thing also is that we noticed probably I'm saying around 5 years. If it's 6, maybe it's 4. All the walk-ins are closed.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean,
yeah, there was a I can't remember the exact details of it. So the question she's asking, just for the digital audience there, is she's asking about, is part of the explosion or the deterioration of services because of the explosion in population? Of course. But the interesting thing is that they knew, at least with the cancer agency, they knew back in 2012 that there was going to be an explosion of population that would need cancer care, and the government did nothing about it. They all love to point the fingers at each other, but it was the United Party was in power at the time. They didn't do anything about it, and the head of basic cancer ended up resigning back in 2014 because of that. And then his successor also, they ended up writing a paper about this problem because the government would not do anything about it. And then the NDP came into power and they also didn't do anything about it. As far as the walk-in clinics, there was a law that treated, I don't remember the exact details of it, but it was the way that they decided to treat walk-in clinics where it disincentivized doctors to have walk-in clinics anymore. And so doctors were more incentivized to go towards family practice. And so that caused a shutdown of all these walk-in clinics. And it's absolutely, but it kind of goes to show that it's, just gonna upload those. So we don't look at that. So that didn't work. Anyway, so you're gonna look at the price. Yeah, it just goes to show that, there's these problems happening, but they're not doing anything proactively about it. It's like David Eby said in 2023, in December 2023, well, we need to do better. You needed to do better 10 years ago. You saw this problem coming, all of these problems. They know, the governments know that, the federal government is inviting all these immigrants over, that we're having this explosion of population. What are they doing about it? So I think that that's often offered as a cop-out in a way of like, oh, well, it's the population. Okay, well, do something about it. You can't just hide behind that.
I'll let someone else answer that.
No, that's good.
But I cannot believe they get in their 40s and stage 4 cancer, and I just cannot believe it. They treated that you were treated like something that never heard before. I'm obviously I have.
I paid her. No,
I just saw that chapter, but I saw posted that. So
yeah,
I didn't know this because.
Yeah,
to this degree.
I didn't either. It's interesting. I actually, like I said, my neighbor's sister, who was my age, had actually gone through some stuff with BC cancer where she was diagnosed with this rare form of cancer of her adrenal glands. And they said, okay, we're just going to monitor you for a little while. And then if it gets worse, then we'll treat you. Well, they monitored her by not actually paying any attention to her at all. And then when she came back for follow-up, it had spread so far, they said, oh, yeah, sorry, we can't treat you. You're just too far gone. She had to go and get naturopathic care to try to beat the cancer back and push like hell to get them to finally treat her. And they finally did. She's still alive, but you had to become her own advocate in spades. And that's what so many people are having to do, but they're making cancer patients advocate that hard for themselves. And when you have someone that is that sick having to push that hard, you've got a massive problem. Yeah. What else you got, folks?
Anybody online? I just saw a post recently about, I was just looking for it, on the government website that is inviting immigration and immigrants to Canada and to BC, because they're now for like free healthcare.
Yeah, I saw that too. Boy, that pissed me off. Yeah, and again, like I just keep emphasizing, it's not free, but yeah, as if to say, you know, it was one thing. They make it very difficult too for a lot of doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals to get certified in Canada. There's other countries that have this certification process is much smoother, it's streamlined and rapid. Canada has not adopted anything like that. So they're inviting them over to use the healthcare system, but not be part of it as working professionals. So it's atrocious. I was really appalled by that.
We've just asked the live chat if
Okay.
anybody has any questions to put out.
Lots of love and support in the chat.
Oh,
It's been blowing up this whole time.
I love it.
Comment.
Sure.
But you were speaking about suing.
Yeah.
Which I think is wonderful. I don't know if dollars giving, but
Oh, that's okay. It's no way I got to never be here.
at the same time, have you thought of maybe like do it change.org or give Send a go?
I have. Unfortunately, I just found out last week that the lawsuit couldn't move forward, and I'm actually very near. From my understanding, I'm very near my statute of limitations. Because this happened 2 years ago, where I found the wrongdoing, and that's the end of the statute of limitations, which means I no longer have the grounds of the ability legally to sue. I don't know how true that is. I can't. I haven't really had time to explore it because I was getting ready for my trip up here. You know, is a lawsuit the only way to create the public pressure? No. The reason that I was really gung ho on it, though, is because the lawsuit had the opportunity to show that wait times and these systemic issues I've talked about, the decisions that were made and the policies like not being able to refer me because there was no biopsy, there's very clear harm from that, especially with the setting that I was sharing with you and the fact that I have the recurrent cancer. And the ability to show harm from the wait lists and those kinds of policies had the ability to impact the entire country. If it went all the way to the Supreme Court in BC, now a precedent is set. So that's why I was really keen on it, and I'm not going to give up on it, but it doesn't look, I'm certainly not standing here announcing the lawsuit like I wanted to, but you know, I still think that there is purpose in this and that there's other ways to create momentum and change.
A couple online questions. First one is, have you thought of doing a GoFundMe similar to this?
Yes. Thought of doing a GoFundMe. Thank you.
Have you thought of a class action lawsuit with other victims of this care or their families? And maybe that's something can get them running in full speed.
Yeah, we did explore that. And then not to say that I'm done exploring it. Like I said, this kind of fell apart a week ago and I was getting ready to come up here. But it's certainly an option. I'm definitely open to it. And there are other movements happening behind the scenes that I'm not really privy to disclose. But I think that a lot of people are fed up. And if more people are willing to take action, then, you know, they're always welcome to reach out to me or whoever, and we can start that ball rolling.
Next one says, I don't have questions, but I just want you to know I'll be telling my grandkids about you with a bunch of flexes.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that.
That's it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
As somebody who is not actively going through a medical emergency such as cancer, how would you recommend people reach out and speak out and advocate for people like yourself, although they might not have inside knowledge or personal experience with the BC healthcare system?
Sure. So the question, just so everyone can hear, is if you're not actually going through a healthcare problem, what are some ways that you can take action and speak out and advocate for others who might be? The number one thing is always to learn what's going on. Secondstreet.org and Fraser Institute are two organizations that covered these topics extensively. So bypass the news and go right to the stats. Look deeper into the information. Look at these reports and the white papers and things like that. And I hate to say this because this term is overused, but educate yourself, get knowledgeable about it, and then start having the conversations. Have conversations with your representatives, whether that's your MLA, your MP, or even your mayor. Like, start having conversations. Have conversations with your neighbors and your family, because you hear a lot of things like people are, oh, well, private care would take away from public care. Well, really, then why is it that every other developed nation has both private care and public care? And they're doing just fine. They have better outcomes than we do. So that narrative needs to get busted down, right? So being able to start to speak to some of those common talking points, I think, is really important, and speak out, and going back to what I said earlier, taking aligned action. Like, whoever you are, you have strengths of some kind, you have talents, you have skills, and you probably have a voice in your head saying, hey, you know what? I could use this skill over here to do this thing. So follow those nudges, because I think that those are divinely inspired.
Thank you.
Yeah, and look for other people that are getting involved in this and ways you can get involved with those other actions. It's a really good question. I have another question that I commonly get asked, and sometimes people aren't comfortable asking it, so I'm going to ask it and answer. But I've often gotten asked, like, what do you do if you're going through it? If you're in the healthcare system now, you're relying on the healthcare system to take care of you. How do you get yourself taken care of? So here's some practical tips that I'm going to just leave you all with. Always document everything. So go to that appointment with your phone or with a notebook, write down who you saw, when you saw them, what you saw them for, what you told them, what they told you. Know whatever symptoms you're having, look into them, figure out what it could be, and make sure that the doctor starts ruling those things out. Ask for more diagnostics. And if you're refused, ask for them to document that refusal. And of course, you document that refusal. Always look at your own reports. I'm really big on this. A lot of people don't do this. I don't know how it works here, but on the island, you can pull all of your imaging reports and diagnostic reports. Look at them. And if you don't understand what they mean, I'm not ashamed to say I will use ChatGPT to say, what does this mean? It may not be 100% accurate. I'm not medically treating myself, but I am going to take that information to my doctor and say, okay, tell me what this report means. And then I'm going to make sure that it lines up. And if the doctor misses something, I'll say, okay, well, I thought this meant that. So can you explain that to me? Right? You have to get knowledgeable and understand what you're dealing with and be able to talk to the doctor and stand up for yourself. Always bring someone with you. It's a witness, and it's someone else that's going to hear things differently than you are, especially when you're hearing words like, this looks like stage 4 cancer. Having someone with you is going to help you get all the information, say all the things that need to be said, empower them to advocate for you. Those are kind of my basic tips. But
One more question came in. What does someone do if they can't flee to the US?
that's a great question. There's, it's a really hard thing to say. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
The question is, what do you do if someone can't flee to the US? I say right now, look at all your options. You may not be able to go get treated in the US, but maybe you need a scan, and maybe you can afford to go get a scan in the US. There are other countries that are more affordable as well, depending on what you're dealing with. So start looking into getting second opinions in other countries. I know someone that got a second opinion in Taiwan, right? And that's completely reasonable. So there are options outside of the US. It kind of depends on what. It's hard to answer that question with a blanket answer because it depends on what you're dealing with. But there are certainly options out there. And feel free if you want to, whoever asked me that question, if you want to DM me, you're welcome to, and I can help you try to troubleshoot whatever's going on for you and what you might be able to do.
Last question here. There is a group, I think it's throughout BC. It's called, it's free as far as I know. It's called Inspire Health.
Okay. It sounds familiar. I don't remember what they do.
Well, I'm not sure about now, but years ago, I'm from school cancer. And so, one of the resources was place here in Kelowna. I don't know if it's still there, but I did check it out on the website for someone else who's just recently diagnosed and for the wife to look into it for, for her husband. So what they used to have 6 years ago, because this was 2019 when I assisted this person, they had actually some medical doctors. They had a nutritionist. They had physiotherapists. They had stress reduction. They had lots of different. They had lots of different resources there.
Okay.
And they also had then 6 years ago. They also had MDs who would actually be a liaison with, let's say, the Cancer Society or with the medical.
Oh yeah.
But that's 6 years ago.
Okay.
What it's like now, I have no.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with them, but sounds like a good resource. It sounds like they maybe have healthcare advocacy that they're doing, which is good, and patient advocates.
Great, and perhaps you got hold of them. But yeah, I'm not really sure if they still have a website and a phone number, but I'm really not sure.
Yeah,
what it's like now.
Yeah, I'm not either. Being in Texas now, kind of a little bit unplugged from some of the intricacies. I've been more focused on policy and, of course, the headlines, the atrocious headlines, the results of policy, I guess. But that sounds. I think there's a lot of organizations that are trying to do something to offer what they can with where they're at.
Right. I think they do, or I think they could get some funding from the government, especially the medical doctors.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Any other questions? Comments?
Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Lots of love in the comments.
Lots of love to you guys too.
So what are your plans moving forward now? Hit a roadblock, temporary one.
Sure.
What are your plans moving forward now to get more awareness out?
My plans are, I'm good at speaking and I'm considering kind of some of my options beyond that though. I would love to continue to take this conversation to other communities. It's a little logistically difficult coming from Texas, but I still think the conversations need to be had. So I'm getting involved in some other projects I can't really talk about, but I am also willing to come and speak and share my story. I think I'm going to be sharing my story more on social media too, blasting as much information as I can there because that's where I have an audience right now. It's much easier because I'm still in treatment and I get chemotherapy every 3 weeks still, and I will for quite a while. So that has its own ups and downs with energy, being able to do that. But I'm very passionate about this. So speaking, I'm going to do some writing to probably try to get some letters printed in the press, maybe do guest articles and things like that. Just keep using my two writing, speaking, and have conversations and try to inspire other people to have conversations.
You have an X account. I know you have Instagram.
I do have an X account.
I couldn't find it earlier.
I am Torva Logan on X as well. I just I'm not very active. I should be more active on X because that's where all the political stuff happens. So yes, she's like yes.
What social media are you on?
I'm on Instagram as Torva Logan. I'm on Facebook as Torva Logan as well.
You guys have TikTok, didn't you?
Sorry,
Do you guys have TikTok, or is that just on?
I don't have a TikTok.
We'll get you on.
I know you're gonna have to show me how to use it. I'm a little bit of a boomer that way.
There was a question. What can others do to help move along with your advocacy?
What can others help to move along with my advocacy?
Yes.
I think that's again individual skills. So if you want to be helpful, shoot me a DM and we can talk. I'd love to helpful. Like this is the most amazing podcaster who's had me on her show like 5 times. If you don't listen to the Real Babe podcast, who is live streaming me. Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
So I think everybody has their own skills and gifts. And so if there's something you want to do, shoot me a DM. I'm really open to that. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And with me today is one of my favorite returning guests. I like to welcome Torva back to the show. Hey, babe, how are you?
Hi. How's it going?
I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited because it's been not that long since we've seen in real person.
No, not even a month yet.
I know.
Been a
It
few
feels
weeks, though.
I know it feels so long and so far, like so
It
far
does.
away, but it was just yesterday, you know?
Yeah, you are so far away, and the pictures that you got me from our trip are on our fridge. So
I love
I
it.
see it every day when I go reaching for food. That was so much fun.
See? And I was so funny and sneaky, and I was like, see, printed pictures of my love language. Oh, what are you getting pictures for? None of your business, Torva. None of your business. You got me magnet, so I had to return the magnet. Now you got part of me on your fridge. And now you think of me every
They're
time you
awesome.
eat. They're awesome. Yeah. So
I
for guys
love
that they don't know, that Torva came up here to visit to Kelowna, and she did an event that I was able to support her in, and that's what you guys just seen before this. But how was your trip up here? Not just to come into Kelowna and like coming into my world, but just coming back to Canada in general.
Well, it's been so for those that don't know, it had been about 6 months since we left Canada, and of course, when we left, I didn't think I would be coming back to BC because I have a daughter, obviously in BC, but she plans to be going to Toronto next summer for good, and then that's kind of my last like family tie to BC. So, it'd be great to visit everywhere I want to go all the time, but resources are limited and not. So we did not expect that I would be going back to BC at all. And then I got the invite to participate in something very special in Kelowna, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that. But the stars aligned, and I just really felt the pull to do it, and so it was very emotional returning to BC. I will say it was very. BC was supposed to be our forever home, and if you've lived like I have or like we have, where I've never had a forever home. Kind of always been searching for and trying to plant those roots. And then now being a medical exile, as I call myself, from where I was supposed to be rooted, it was very emotional to return to BC. It was a combination of, it was beautiful, of course, because it was the peak of fall. Yes. Great timing. And I live in Texas now, and our peak of fall is like, oh, the leaves were there yesterday, and now they're gone.
You don't actually get to see the descent; it just kind of happens.
No,
like
there's
Alberta.
no color. There's no color changing. It's like a little bit of color change. They go from like brilliant green to not quite so brilliant green, yellowish, and then they're done.
They're gone. Yeah.
But it was beautiful. It was sad. It was heartbreaking. And then there was also this gratitude of, had I stayed in BC, I probably wouldn't still be here. So I can't fully articulate the immensity and enormity of the emotions that I felt just crossing into and landing in Canada. And what a great airport to actually go into. I am the kind of person, like everything I do is that deep. And I know I share this with you, but I'm like listening to my headphones, and I've got like my marching song on, like my song of like I'm gonna bring it, right? Like all this power behind me in this little tiny little jet plane landing in Kelowna, which if you don't know, like in order to land in Kelowna, you have to kind of like spiral down. And we came out of the clouds right as like my song is hitting this peak of emotion, and I'm like bawling my eyes out now, and I see like Kelowna before me, like on the ground and the lake, and as we come out of the clouds and the song is doing its thing, and I'm just like ready. I was ready for it.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful descent too. I was so glad you got to see it, because sometimes people come in at nighttime or too early in the morning, you don't get to see it. But our valley is very beautiful. I think Kelowna is a very good representation of Canada. It kind of has a little bit of everything. We've got beaches and lakes, we've got mountains and hills and trees. So you kind of get a little bit desert, kind of get a little bit of forest, and we just don't have ocean. That's the only thing we're missing in here. And honestly, growing up on the ocean, I'm okay with that. And it was new, first time for you to be there too, right? First time coming here too.
My experiences in Canada have been Ottawa, Toronto. We briefly went up to the Lakes region in the Toronto area, of course, Niagara Falls, like so that whole area of Ontario, and then the island and Vancouver. That's it.
Yeah, and the Okanagan's different. Yeah, it's so different in the Okanagan too. So I'm really glad. And then I was like, please come stay with me. Like, this is why we got the place that we did. It has an extra room, it has an extra bathroom, so you can feel like you can come stay here. And that's
It
not an
was.
expense you have to worry about.
Thank you.
Of
Yes, thank you
course.
for your hosting me. You're wonderful hosts, and I had
So
such a
good.
great time, like
Yes.
just being immersed in your world. So
Yeah, and it's cool. I'm one of the only people that's been in my studio, really, like besides my girlfriends that live here, right? So that
yeah,
was fun to be able to see behind the scenes,
that
see
was
my
fun.
office, take a
Getting
picture
to
in
see
it.
behind the scenes, like, oh, so this is
Yes.
how it's set up. Okay.
This is what it looks like. Ah, crazy. When it's all actually done, I should actually take a video of it because it is quite the setup I've gotten from just a tiny chair and my iPhone and headphones. But it's
Yeah.
just so nice because we'd met like because of both of us are speaking out, right? So, and it was just
Yeah.
meant like we connected and it was almost like 2 years right to the same time as when we had
Yeah.
connected the first time, right? So it was
Yeah.
just so beautiful. Like I told you before, I didn't really have too much money or means to be able to help you while you're going through it besides sharing your story. So when I see an opportunity to be like, hey, I could save her because Kelowna is a little ridiculous when it comes to hotel, save you money, get to hang out with you and like get to know you better in those times and support you. Also, of course, every time you've come to Canada, you've had to leave quickly because of medical emergency. So I also
Yeah.
wanted to
Brandy
just
was
be
on
there.
edge.
I was so on edge,
She was
man. I
on
was
edge.
sweating. I was like, I can't let Donovan down. He will not let her come back up here if I fuck around and find out. Like, we got to make sure she's
No,
eating.
yeah, me too. I was like, I better be good, otherwise
Right?
I will never be able to go to Canada.
I
I'll be
know.
banned.
And now we've got a positive one. She was able to leave in a good, not positive note. We both bawled on the way of dropping you off, of course, but
Yes,
like
it
at
was
least you were
sad,
good. Yeah,
but
because we had fun.
it was all good. It was a
Yeah.
good trip.
Yeah, and then we got to go for breakfast with Christina and meet our MLA here, who's working so hard
Yeah, it was
overtime,
a
standing
packed
for
trip.
people. It
I
was
got to
a
meet
packed.
Christina Lowanen, so the MLA for Kelowna Center, who is an emerging powerhouse in the legislature. Like just in the short time since before meeting her in person, seeing what she had been up to, and then of course meeting her and hearing her passion and how I mean, it's rare is the politician that you meet that really truly cares about not just their constituents, but the constituents throughout their jurisdiction, I guess. So throughout
Yeah,
BC in her case.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then seeing what she's done in since I've left is just nothing short of spectacular. So if you're not following her, you should be. She
Yes,
is absolutely one to follow and one to watch. She's going
yeah.
places,
And she
and
wants to
even if she
hear from
goes
you.
nowhere,
Yeah,
even if,
yeah.
yeah, she goes
She's made a
nowhere,
big
she's
impact.
doing amazing things. So
Yeah, yeah, and she truly cares. Like that breakfast is like, what tell me what's like on your guys' mind. Tell me about your
yeah,
situation. Is there anything that's like impending that really needs to be focused on, right? Like it
mm-hmm.
just felt so nice, and it was so funny. I actually sent her the picture that I had screenshotted in 2024 during her election to make sure that I got her name right. Because I was like, hey, do not mess this up. You need to make sure, because the last thing my anxiety was like, and I sent it to her. I was like, see, I've been believing you since October 2024, like
Oh, that's
because
sweet.
well, because I grew up right in BC, right? And so I've watched
Yeah,
the Liberals and NDP trash the province that I've grown up to and come home to try to build a home. And it almost feels near
yeah,
impossible just to build it, let alone all the medical emergencies we're hearing around here. And it just makes me sick to my stomach. So knowing that I have a direct link to talk to Christina to bring those big stories to her, like the ivermectin store or the health food store that got raided here this last week for
right.
the ivermectin. She's seen the story, but she hadn't seen the interview with Svetlana. So I sent that to her, right? And she's like, oh, thank you so much for sharing this stuff. And she's always been so grateful and open to stories. And that's to me what a politician should be listening, should be fighting and listening to their constituents and
Yeah,
repeating that in legislature. That's just what I feel. And I'm so
hundred
grateful that
percent.
that worked out. I was like, yes, I voted for the right chick. Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course, of
Because some of
course.
them say shit, but then they don't actually do it, right? And I think that's the difference is following
Yeah.
up and making sure they're doing what they say they're going to do, which I feel like Liberals and NDPs, they say things and then they give us like a quarter, if anything, as of
And I
late.
think just to be fair, that
Fair.
happens on any side of the aisle. Like
100%.
there are unfortunately unscrupulous politicians on any side, any party that
Mhm.
will say whatever they can. They'll join whatever party suits their agenda
Totally.
personally, and they will try to get elected. And then, as we're seeing in Canadian politics, they'll walk across the aisle just as it suits them just fine.
Yeah, and I just feel like that should be illegal. And it's to your point. I think for me, it's like I haven't had a chance to see conservatives in BC do anything. So absolutely. And I totally agree with that. But can we get a chance to see someone else give it a try? Because the difference between
Yeah.
the Liberals and the NDP and Conservatives is that Conservatives are done with people, the Liberals and the NDP not holding to their word. That I feel like Conservatives are trying to, for the most part, from what I see, hold them to their word and
Yeah.
have a relationship, right? I don't see many constituents talking. I don't see many politicians on the other side going to the people. They're in the house just doing their shit, but I rarely see them interviewing with everyday people like Pierre, like Christina, like all those people are doing.
Yeah,
But
and
they're
I
also
see
opposition,
I
so
see it.
they have more time maybe.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Campbell River's representation, because I am seeing it in spades with Dr. Kindy, who is of course the health critic for BC now, and she is the representative, the MLA for Campbell River. She called me or talked to me, in early 2024. She met with me multiple times, and now, I see her out there taking care of her constituents and the province at large, like speaking out against the numerous healthcare issues that are going on right now.
Yeah.
And then also Aaron Gunn, our MP, or I say our, like I don't live there anymore, but Campbell River's
still
MP,
yours. Yes,
who
it's still yours.
was already, pretty famous throughout Canada anyway, because of his documentaries, who already showed his mettle by showing what he cares about, showing that he's willing to go and ask the hard questions. And he's doing that now in Parliament, which is fantastic. So slowly but surely change is happening, and it's never going to be as fast as we like. There's always going to be, this 2-step forward, 1-step back dynamic. And there's always going to be, those who are in power have set up power structures that suit them, such as the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And there's only so much that we can do to push back against that right now, but
especially when most of them are liberal, right? And they were appointed.
That's exactly my point, right? They were appointed by the Liberal government as
almost protectors of them. It's like the HR.
Exactly.
It's starting to feel like the HR of a big corporate company. Like we're here to be for the people.
Like, there's certain things that are similar in America as well, but I mean, like, America's foundation was so built upon this idea of checks and balances, and I don't know enough about Canadian politics and government set up in order to say the same thing, but knowing that it was set up on the English system, and that the English system was largely rejected by the New Americans, where we're kind of like, we don't want to do that. We want to do it this way. I have to say, like, maybe there isn't as many checks and balances to power in the parliamentary system, but again, I'm probably speaking out of turn. I probably don't know enough to say that intelligently, but that's my perception. Anyway,
that's what it feels like. That's what it kind of feels. I think it's the same thing. Supreme Court is kind of right, the same as like your guys' court, right? So it's kind of like we could do all these things in legislature, but
we have a Supreme Court. Our I don't know if it's this way here, but so in America, the Supreme Court justices are nominated by the president, so the executive branch, and then they are approved by Congress.
Okay, I think ours are just appointed by the government. I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, you. That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of his friends.
Now, generally speaking, a Supreme Court justice will not be denied by Senate, but it has happened, and it can happen. So that's, again, the checks and balances. Like the three branches, the Senate, the executive, and the judiciary, are all supposed to kind of keep each other in check. That's how it's all set up. Anyway, I don't know why we're going off on that topic.
No, but it's important though. But I think most of us, like, we don't know those things. So then we think like, oh, whatever, the government's just taking care of it. And it's like, well, what if they're all these, we have these check and balances. Well, what if they're all fucking corrupt? Then it doesn't really matter what check and balances they do, right? Like,
well, here's the government's taking care of it. Y'all, if those are your thoughts, if your thought about anything is the government's taking care of it, I need you to stop. I need you to back up and realize, like, the government has never, ever done a good job of taking care of anything. That is not their function. Their
making themselves money,
not to take care of you.
It's a business, right? It's a corporation, and their job is to cut money. And I think recently this budget, there's, I went over a few things. There looks like there's some cool things, but there's also things that they're taking away, like vet benefits and stuff like that.
$4 billion from veterans who are already homeless on the street. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
And where is that money going to be sent off to? And their deficits are almost double of what
70.
What the previous budget was?
It's 78.3 or point 0.9, I believe they estimated that it was going to be. I think they were spending 141 billion and then they were going to be cutting 56 billion dollars worth of something.
Yeah.
And they're basically blaming it on the trade wars and the tariffs and all that. And it's like,
Of
oh
course,
my
it's a
god.
convenient. It's a how very convenient.
So
Let me
convenient
not put
for
my
them.
tinfoil hat on, but I think that is intentionally convenient. I think that there's more to it than that, but
100%.
Anyway,
We'll wait and see. But it looks like they or that the budget's going to go through. We're not going to have a non-confidence vote. I know a lot of people are pissed at Pierre. I'm not. We cannot. It's not the right time. It's not the right time to go through an election. There's too many people that have like election fatigue. They're just going to be done. They're just going to go back and they're just going to vote Carney. I think it's good for the next, like, we just can't afford it. Like, it costs so much for, and I just think there's too much distrust right now. And honestly, I'm not trying to be rude, but boomers, they need to fucking see it a little bit more because they don't get it. They're still not getting it.
they won't
Right?
though.
I know, but hey, the ostriches.
It's like it's a stubbornness.
I know the ostriches have opened a lot of eyes to a lot of people. Like there's a lot of things like the budget, the deficit, being like, hey, hold on, the banker said that they were going to do better, but he's not. Like I'm seeing some of the
Yeah.
conversation
We'll
turn
see.
around, and we'll see how it is. But I think what'll happen is hopefully maybe not a non-confidence after like next year. Like next spring, like give it a little bit more time. Let's get through the.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers
We'll see.
have only worked like a month of this year for us. So like
that should. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that should be enough.
I think so too. But yeah, I think right now I'm just a little nervous because it's like we go do this again to get the same thing. Like I just don't know, right? But I'll follow along with the Yahoo jokes. But either way, specifically to BC, I do see a lot of conservatives speaking out. I do see a lot of people speaking out on their own personal stuff. I see a lot more on Rant and Rave where people are talking about the healthcare system
Good.
more and more and more. And that's from people like you sharing your stories, right? So while you were here, not only did we get to hang out, we did craft with the girlies, we went for lunch or breakfast, and we worked out downstairs. And then you hosted an event, which was really cool because we had some women come out and a shit ton of people come online. How was that for you? How did you feel about that? I mean, we had our bumps, but it was all really cool.
Yeah,
I was so proud.
This was the first time that I put on an event where it was solely the purpose of me sharing my story about fleeing Canada to save my life. And that was a very powerful feeling to put that on and have people show up to that and listen to my story, show up to that virtually and in person. It was a little last minute in terms like, it was like what, 2 weeks
before you came.
Yeah. Before I was there, I was like, let me do this too. Why not?
Why not?
While I'm like, still going through treatment and going through the ups and downs of that. So I kept it kind of low key on purpose. It was kind of a test run to see how it would go, to see, will people actually want to come to this? And is this something that, I'm going to need to tweak dramatically after I do it? But I think given the time constraints that we had and given the, a massive amount of help from you and from Maya and from Christina Lowanen, and it was just, and a few other people that I will keep quiet name-wise, but I had help, and that was really wonderful to have that support. And it showed me that, yes, this is something that people do want to hear about. And like I said, I would love to do it again in different places. It's a little bit logistically difficult, I think, to take that kind of a show on the road from Texas. But one of the things that happened to me, a couple months before is something was going on in BC with not hiring as many gynecologic oncologists as they said they were going to. And I wanted to speak to the media about that. And I kind of got a little bit of pushback, like, well, yeah, they're looking for someone a little more local. They're looking for someone that's, in BC. And I was like, well, I'm not in BC because of that. Like, yeah. I'm a medical refugee here. Like, I don't live in BC, not because I said, oh, I think I'm done with BC, but because I literally had to sell my home and leave my community because I could not get good medical care to save my life, because my life was harmed by, my life was cut short. Even though I'm still standing here, the reality is the duration of time that went by between when I was first told, hey, you have cancer, and when I got treatment, inevitably and undoubtedly, statistically at least, took years off my life. I mean, there are studies that show that. So
for their negligence.
Exactly. And so for them to say, yeah, you're not really as relevant because you don't live here. What really was like, I will show you that I am.
So should I be
relevant.
dying and living here instead? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry, there's not like a perfect victim. Like,
it's certainly a more sensational story, right? So
yeah,
it
but
made
it's still
me-
like, I think yours is more, no offense. Like, it's like you can't live in the place like you said you wanted to have your roots. Like, and even if, your daughter was across Canada, it's still within the same, country. It's still,
yeah,
go
exactly.
Vancouver
I
to
loved where
Toronto.
I loved my
Exactly.
community.
Loved
I
Canada
miss
for
all
what
the
it was.
time. Not missing the rain and the darkness. Right
Aha,
now,
fair.
to be
We're
honest.
so blessed right now. It's been pretty decent. The last couple days has been bright. I'm like, what is going
Okay.
on? I'm so shocked. Like,
It's
but it's coming. It's coming.
I'm
Don't
gonna
worry.
tell you, it was
It's coming.
cold today, and by cold I mean the high was 16.
I can't wait to go to Hawaii
We are
when that's
getting
my life.
-1. Where it's going to be -1 tomorrow.
Wow. Does it even?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it snows in Texas, right? Not
But then
often.
it's going right back up to like the high 20s, like the next day. So
Yeah, I think Donovan posted something like, "Oh, I'm finally running today because it was like 18 or something." I was like, "Oh, fuck yourself! It's fucking like 6 degrees here, you dick." Like I'm enjoying it for you guys, living through you.
So what it did was, I don't know, maybe there was a piece of that pushback that said to me, well, if they don't think I'm relevant, I guess I'm going to make sure that I am relevant on my own terms. And so, and as you know, I was all poised to pursue a lawsuit against BC Cancer / BC government for violating my security of person because of what they did. And the lawsuit was highly viable. We were not able to get the funding for it in time, and I've potentially exceeded my statute of limitations. So that also was this impetus to find a way to start chipping away at what happened and start bringing more awareness to it. Because at the end of the day, the goal of the lawsuit, I had 0 financial goals. And the last thing I really want to do is take money away from British Columbian taxpayers who are already paying through the nose to fund an overdose crisis, right?
Yeah.
What I want is more awareness brought to the issues at hand and the realities behind them, because people all draw their own conclusions. Like, oh, our healthcare system is bad because it's poorly funded. Well, actually, no, it's better funded than almost any other developed nation. It has more funding. But even Trudeau said in December of 2022 that there's no point in putting more money into a broken system. You guys, I mean, the federal government acknowledges that the system is broken.
Shocked he said that. Probably the smartest thing he said.
I hate to give the guy credit.
Gotta give it where it's due, though. But he said it, and he knows it. He just didn't do fuck all about it.
Explained that the federal government can keep giving provinces money, but they have no teeth to be able to actually fix the problems or force the provinces to fix the problems that they're having.
And they won't, because it's almost like that bad kid. It's like that never really gets in trouble, and their parents just like let them do whatever they want. They just throw money at them, but they're still a shithead, right? That's what it feels like. It's like, oh, we're just gonna keep throwing money at BC. We don't give a fuck what EB's doing about it. You're dumb. You shouldn't be doing this. This is a waste of money, but we're not gonna do anything. Like, you're the federal, your daddy. Like, spank him. What are you talking about? Like, I'm sure he'd like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just you don't fuck off. Like, oh, it's just like when the pharmacist and the doctor both can't take credit. Like, oh, well, I don't know, I'm just a doctor, I'm just giving you, the pharmacist should tell you what the medication does, and the pharmacist is like, well, the doctor's just prescribing it, I'm just the pharmacist, and then no one's at fault. Like, that's what it feels like, oh, it's the federal government also, and they just argue back and forth, but no one takes accountability. And then us Canadians are like, huh, well, just somebody take the fucking fault.
Oh yeah, well, and then you have this issue that, thank God, like Christina Logan just posted an article. I published an article in Kelowna Now that beautifully articulates like something she and I had talked about, is that unwillingness to talk about this problem.
Yes,
and it's this, okay, I think Canada has if you ask a Canadian, like, what are some Canadian institutions like that we're proud of, right? Hockey, Tim Hortons, and healthcare.
Not anymore. But yes.
Not anymore. And I would say Blue Jays, but I think that's a touchy subject.
It was so sad. I just got married into the fandom, and we were so fucking close, but it was so fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, I had a really good time watching the Jays. It was a very good game, very good series. I might start watching baseball because of it. To be honest with you, I had a really good time. I was like, I can get on board with this.
But so like Canadians are so proud of healthcare and the ideas behind it, fine, are meritorious and we should be celebratory of the intention behind it. But the elephant is in the room that, over what was it like? I mean, just in British Columbia is like 4,516 people between April 1st of 2023 and March 31st of 2024 died waiting for surgery or diagnostic tests. That's more than the amount of people that died overdosing on opioids.
Probably more than, well, maybe not for COVID, but probably, well,
Yeah, I'm going to look into that because I wouldn't be
right?
surprised. You can't know. Here's why you can't know, because anybody who died
With COVID.
while they were positive for the infection, regardless of what they died of, was listed as dying of COVID.
Yeah. And then we're just talking about today, the ventilators. It's like the ventilators were killing people. And it's like, okay, we're not doctors and scientists, but do you think
Really?
that that's the right way to go through? Yeah. A lot of people were for remdesivir. People were dying from that in the hospital, but the hospitals were getting paid money for every single diagnosis and every single ventilator that they're hooking up. And then they weren't busy, so how else they're going to make their fucking money? And then they wouldn't let people and their family members in. There's a lot of people coming out saying, I think that my spouse died or a family member died in the hospital with the ventilator. No one was allowed in, right? So like,
Wow.
it's so fucked. But then, and even the opioid crisis alone here in BC, far beyond anything that happened during COVID, specifically in BC, and we don't care. The homeless people, we don't care. Like, what are we doing here?
Well,
Like,
that's
it
the
just,
thing.
it
This
blows
is the
my
thing that
mind.
this is my issue with
Subjective.
the NDP and the woke, like the
Mhm.
far left, is it's this cosplay of caring.
Yeah,
Oh,
virtual
we're so
signaling.
compassionate. Oh, those poor people. Then why are you giving them the very thing that's killing them? Then why aren't you paying attention to actually funding treatment? Why aren't you, you're just like throwing tons of money at stupid things that do not actually help the problem.
Nope. And like
And
safe
you're doing it under the
supply,
guise of, oh, those poor people.
compassion. And that's like what safe supply is here to me. That's what on the safe injection
Exactly.
side, you're just like, oh, it bottled up on the outside. That sounds great. As a recovering addict and addictive personality, probably not the best to give them that. Like, I honestly really love the way that Alberta and Danielle Smith is attacking the addiction, is that they actually have rehab centers. It's not just getting better, it's how do you now incorporate yourself into society? Because if
Right.
you're not going to help them
Yes.
and you're just going to get them off drugs but don't set them up, they're going
Yeah.
back to the exact same fucking environment
And they
that they
teach
just
them
came from.
that, they're helping them get their GEDs if they don't have one. They're
Exactly.
helping them with, college courses, with job skills. They're building community with each
Yes,
other.
exactly.
I mean,
And they're all together and learning.
immersive living facilities. They're not just like go to rehab, get
Yeah.
out.
Take methadone, get out, come back in. Here's some
Yeah.
dillies. It's like,
not,
oh,
and
okay.
that's interesting too, because a lot of this is a lot of these things. I was listening to Joe Rogan and Elon Musk today talking about.
Well, that would be a good one.
What did Elon called it? The homeless industrial complex.
It is though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was talking about San Francisco, but I immediately picked up on it as like, this is going on in BC for sure, and that the underpinnings of, I guess if I had a point, and I'm going to tie it back together, the underpinnings of what goes on in our healthcare system, somebody is benefiting from it, somebody that we can't see from our perspective, but I guarantee you that there is corruption afoot, and I guarantee you that there are profits being made through this channel. And that is why it's being protected, and that is why it's being like, there's this intention to suppress and silence and make it seem like cases like mine were unique and one-off, to seem like, situations like, Caitlin Stockton, the ER doctor, like that was just a unique situation. Like, but that's why many of us are starting to come together and share our stories. And
Because
there will
it's
be
not
much more of it. It's a tidal wave. So
and anybody out there listening, like, y'all know you're here to come on the show. Tell me, bring your story. Like always, like this, the more that we share it, the more it gets out, the more people are going to hear. It just takes one time for one person to hear one story, and then they start binging and they're like, oh
100%.
shit. And then they just start seeing, oh my God, there's more and more. And they start connecting with you. And then you're sharing stories and I'm sharing stories and Christina's sharing stories. Like we have been sharing stories of all the different things. But when it comes to the healthcare system, I know I'm not alone when I say I am terrified to get sick, Torva, like in any sense, because I'm like, even now I have to go get blood work and I know that it's 3 to 6 hours and you could be sitting there for 2 to 3 days just to get regular blood work. And I'm like, well, I don't really have anything wrong right now, but I'm getting to my 40s. I think it's a good idea to have a naturopath to get the blood work. But then it's like, I can't take 3 days off to get the blood work. You know what I mean? It's just like going back to, I remember your comment with one of arguing with stupid people in the comment section about privatization. It's like, cool, you don't have to pay for it, but there's some of us that would be willing to pay for it so that the free system like loosens a little bit
Yeah.
so that more people could have it. But you guys are so fucking ignorant to think that, oh, well, it's only going to be all the doctors are going to go to private. No, they're not. It's the same thing with lawyers that do pro bono shit. Like there's
If
always
that's
going
the
to be
case,
people.
though, my two arguments to that, number one, if that is true, then why is that not the case in every other developed nation? Like, again, Canada is the
100%.
only developed nation where you do not have a private option, where it's shut down for any essential services. You cannot have a private option. Okay,
I just think
Canada's
it's
the
so
only one.
stupid.
Many other, like Germany, Japan, Australia, all these other countries are doing it, and they have both private and public. So
Yep.
if it is the case that all doctors are going to go to the private solution or the private option,
It would've
then
happened.
why is that not happening in other countries? And why would it happen in Canada instead of it happening in those other countries? And the only answer is that our model is fucked up. It's
Yes.
incorrect. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And if prices are the same across the board, the government pays that much and it's subsidized, and we're, you know what I mean? There's still going to be some taxes coming out from us not doing it so that there could be more, like, as long as there's a standard fee guide, doctors are going to go wherever. You know what I mean? Like, if a doctor's private and pays, they might even stay with government because then they don't have to pay for an office, pay staff. Like, exactly.
Dental care is done privately, but there is a fee schedule that doctors have to follow. They don't get to decide, like, yeah, you know what, for your crown, for you, because
I don't like your face.
You're a white liberal lady. I'm going to charge you twice as much.
I would. No, I'm just kidding. you get crazy cat lady tax, bitch. Just kidding. But like that's what I mean. Like
your tax, Brandy.
It is my tax. I have so many. But like there should just be an option, right? And my thing is like, okay, well, why can't we give it a try? And I'm pretty sure Alberta is starting to do more privatized stuff, and people are getting shit done faster, and they're getting their free. Like my girlfriend's mom was here today, and she said she got blood work requisition. She was in within a couple days and done. Here, people are waiting hours and hours and hours. It's
but,
like,
you know, the argument, yeah, and it's great. I'm glad to hear that. The argument of like, oh, it's going to take away from private care, public care, excuse me, or this, that. It's like, you know what? Again, that means the model is broken. The two should be able to coexist.
Well, there's private schools and public schools.
Because what you're telling people essentially is you either wait and hope that you make it, or you die because you shouldn't have an option. Yeah. And that's not right. I'm sorry if you don't like it. Like, you don't have to go for the public option or the private option, but that doesn't mean you get the right to tell other people that they can't have it because it's somehow. That's like the vaccine, right? Like, you have to have the vaccine, otherwise you're hurting me. Well, if you got the vaccine, then why are you being harmed? Exactly. If the public system is so good, then why does it matter if I have private care? Yeah. But they don't want to admit it. I had someone make a comment to me the other day in my comments, like on my story of, you know, what happened to me. Well, I went to the ER after having I don't remember what happened. I don't remember the whole story. It was like I had a stroke and this, that, and I got care and I was released and I'm doing fine and I didn't have to pay anything for it. And I'm like, gnarly, dude. I would have paid with my life. So good for you.
Like, that's what bugs me.
I also said, you know what? I got all my cancer treatment here in America and I didn't pay a dime either. So
suck it,
you
bitch.
need to be careful what you believe.
And like,
I'm
cool.
That way, right? But still,
well, for sure. But you know, everyone's experience is different. So to blanket, I had a good experience. Wow, what an amazing fucking privilege for you. You should probably sit your ass down.
Like, what is
and be
that
thankful.
Does not negate my situation at all.
Like,
nor Allison's, nor Melanie's, nor anybody else's.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not alone. There's many people that you know that you've met over the last couple of years. Some people that are still here, some people that unfortunately didn't make it because they weren't treated properly. You know what I mean? And people are just like, oh, it's no big deal. I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. People's lives is just no big deal. Like, I'm so happy you had a positive experience. Don't discredit the people that didn't, right?
It's
like
the people that don't want to acknowledge the reality. So they paint over it with this pretty little picture of denial.
Cognitive
That didn't
dissonance.
happen to me. Yeah. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
It's the fluoride stare, you know? You're just like, is somebody in there?
Something you did, like as if I did something wrong. Okay, anyway. So,
cool.
The conversation, my point is the conversations need to be had. People need to be willing to have this conversation. Like, get past this pride in what should be and start talking about what is, because the writing is on the wall. And that writing is in your neighbor's blood, your mother's blood, your son's blood. Like it is in the blood of Canadians. That is the writing on the wall.
And dude, like I was just even in the grocery store today. You thought it was bad when you were here last time? I literally, it was
That was
cheaper
4
for
weeks
me.
ago. What?
It's gone up. I went to go get hamburger. It was literally $15 for a pack of hamburger. Not even extra lean, not even lean, just regular ass hamburger. And I was like,
Wait,
well, fuck. So now I'm going, not
for
the
a
big
pound?
pack.
$15 a pound.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
But
like
it
the
was
small
like,
pack.
was it like $11 a pound when I was there 4 weeks ago?
That's what I'm saying. So then I actually went to the butcher because they sell it for like $11. But I was like, oh well, I'm just at this. I'm not going to make another stop. Now I went, and those even their chicken breasts used to be $5. Now they're $6.90. Which, like, again, I'll pay it for, like, especially now with the clone meat, we won't even go there. But
I was,
like,
like make sure what you're buying is actually
yes. Yeah, so we go for T-Bones, which is the butcher that's there. So I do trust the butcher. But now the local store that I took you to, I'm like a little bit nervous because I'm like, they do get local stuff, but I trust the butchers that we get from that support local ranchers. And we've actually even talked about, like, Eden and myself talked about getting freezers and going into an actual rancher and just getting a big ass half cow
I think you
and
should.
just freeze it. I think that's the way forward for Canadians. So
That
Canadians,
is the
if
way
you
forward
don't know,
because that's how we're going to pressure the big businesses to not participate in the government's shenanigans.
Exactly. So that's something that I'm going to be doing.
We can't trust what they're doing, so let's go over to the small. And I think we need to support more small farmers.
Oh, for sure. It's more just financially.
When the government's trying to convince them to do this and raising the prices of everything, and enough is enough.
I don't know how people are going to survive. It made me sick to my stomach as I was doing groceries. I think I got grapes, alfalfa sprouts.
1 in 5 Canadians are using a food bank.
And like me and Grant,
1 in 5.
We're
and
dinks.
What did Carney say? We're just gonna have to make
sacrifice. Yeah, we're gonna have to sacrifice more. And it's like, bro, again, for the trade, it's like, do you give a shit about your daughter or your future? Like and that's what I want. Like boomers, you don't give a fuck about your grandkids, about your kids, because
they don't understand.
They don't.
I don't think it's that they don't care. It's that they have this programming of like, well, when I was your age, I just saved money. So they believe the whole like avocado toast theory. Like if you millennials would just stop your avocado toast, you could save and buy a house without realizing like the extreme disparity that has grown between income and cost of living.
Yeah. And like, just cancel your Disney Plus. Yeah, it's very accurate. And even the Bank of Canada said we're not like wages are going to come up, but they were supposed to go like this, and now they're doing this, right? Like, and we're okay. Like, I am okay in my job. Grant is in the oil field. We're okay, but I'm not worried about us. I'm worried about everybody else. Like, you know what I mean? And it kills me because I'm seeing these little families like that can't do anything because they just can't afford it, and it just
packing up and leaving.
It is, and it's scary because
been the story
for a while.
Even when we lived in Toronto, 2019 was when we left. So how many years ago was that? 6 years. We left Toronto 6.5 years ago. Even back then, we were hearing from like, our Uber drivers of like, man, I'm going back to Pakistan because life in Canada is too hard.
Yeah, they've been sold a lie too. A lot of those people, have been sold a lie that they come over here and make all this money, but they can't, and then they're trapped here, and they're trapped by the Canadian government. It's disgusting. But the conversations for these things are starting to be had, right? More and more and more. The ball is rolling. Things are happening. And it was really cool to be a part of your event and see people come in and see them ask questions and people showing. And I really wish I was such a fucking flail online with Instagram Live so you could have seen all the love that you were getting.
I would have loved to have seen Instagram Live, but I don't blame you.
I'm so sorry.
Live has done that to me too. So for those of you who are listening to this, like we had it on Instagram Live and it streamed, and there was so many wonderful people that came in, and Donovan was on the chat, like partly moderating. Brandy was moderating, and Brandy went to share after it was all over because you can share a live and it becomes a part of your Instagram, and it disappeared.
As we're shocked.
Ether.
I should have told Donovan to screen record so that at least you could have seen the comments, like, because we got it right. We've got it, which is at the beginning of this video, and we got it on your phone too, right? So yeah, that I did. I was trying to, but there was so much love during it, and I was just like, my heart was warming as I was watching this because, like, I've heard your story. Obviously, I've been a part of it several times. Not that I didn't want to listen to it from front to back, but I was really focused on the people that were commenting, and then Donovan was engaging with them and explaining a little bit more, and then Christina showed up, and it was just like I just felt all the love for you, and I was like holding back tears because I was just like, this is what I wanted for you, right? I wanted you to know like people do care, and it's a privilege to not care about the health care system right now. I don't think people understand. And like, I'm very blessed that I'm not in it, but there's a lot of people that I care about, and the future of Canadians, obviously, is why I do the show. And it worries me for when it's my day. Like maybe it's not my day right now, but it's going to be at some point. And
quite
I
frankly,
need to make sure it's okay.
That's what bothers me, right? Like I don't live in BC anymore. For those of you who haven't picked up on that yet, I'm in Texas permanently now. I'm living in my house that we bought here in Texas.
Beautiful.
I don't have to care about the healthcare system anymore. It doesn't affect me personally. I even have insurance for my daughter here in America. So if something happens to her, and my parents, and I all have like a plan for them to go get her and bring her back to America so she can get emergency care. But I'm not that person that just kind of like, well, I saved myself. I'm
Bye.
good.
Yeah.
It's something that I take citizenship in any country seriously, and I'm a dual citizen in Canada and BC, and I take my citizenship there. Sorry, in Canada and America. I take that very seriously. Yeah. And I think I wish I could impart that on everybody. Perhaps it's just the way I grew up, because my dad was, in the military. So I grew up, American military. But I take it seriously. I take it as a responsibility to be a citizen of a country. That means I'm engaged in what's going on politically. I don't like politics. You know what? Politics are impacting every part of your life. If you don't like politics, then you're shooting yourself in the foot.
They still like you.
If you're deciding not to participate.
Well, and part of that, you pay taxes. We pay taxes. We 100% participate in politics. Unless you ain't paying taxes, like you just go. So you just go to like your account holder and you're just like, here's $1,000. I don't give a fuck what you spend it on. Here you go. That's what you're doing when you're not getting involved in politics here in Canada, because 43%. You have to work until June 13th. June 13th. If you were to prepay the government taxes here in Canada, the average family would have to pay upfront until about June. Every year it's different, but it's around June 13th to 16th.
Oh my God.
Don't tell me that you're not political, babes. You fucking pay taxes. And if not, then I'm sorry, you're an idiot, because you're not paying attention to your money just disappearing from you and things getting harder, and they're not managing our money correctly. And it's not going to change unless more people stand up. And there's like
$19,000 is what the average Canadian family spends on healthcare. For all of you who are like, healthcare is free. No, it's not.
What about people?
$19,000 a year in taxes on average and as a Canadian family. And if you have no idea where that money's going, and you walk into a hospital and you've paid $19,000 every year of your working life, and you walk into a hospital and they're like, yeah, sorry, we're too busy to see you. Or whatever the case may be, like, where on earth do you ever pay that much money and then get no service? That's not acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable. And I think, I wonder if it's just people are feeling like they don't have any power left, and that's why I don't want to pay attention to politics. Or are you really that absorbed with what's going on TikTok and Instagram that you don't care about what's going on in real life?
Or numbed out from drugs or pharmaceuticals, or they're working 6 jobs to make ends meet, and no one has fucking time to read behind the articles or listen past the news. It's not. It's by design.
The fact that you have to work that much is not a coincidence to keep you preoccupied and not paying attention to what the government's doing.
Just keep
the fact that
checking in.
Drugs are so freely available now to keep you numbed out, drugged out, not paying attention to what the government's doing, not a coincidence. Like, none of this is a coincidence.
And it's not for you. Like, none of this is for you, even though they'll pretend that it is. Even like UBI and all those things, that's not for you.
Unhealthy, and they're fighting multiple chronic conditions, and they're unable to focus, and all of these things. Like, also not a coincidence. Like, it starts with your health. You have to take control of your health.
Yeah. And they've very much cut that in half, right? So just on my episode on YouTube, it would be Monday that this will air. We're talking this Friday, your episode. So this last Monday, we're talking about the raid, the Ezra healing raid, because she was providing people with ivermectin.
And,
yeah. And what was bugging me so much was just like, I went off on a rant, like thinking about you. And I was like, I just think that everyone should have the opportunity to use whatever they want with their treatments, whether that's allopathic, whether that's natural, whether it's either if a combination of both.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to know why people are sourcing alternatives? Because they can't either get the regular one or got burned by the regular stuff or being left behind. So naturally, they're going to reach out for alternatives. And why are the alternatives being declined? Because from what I hear, they're doing a lot of good things with less money by using these alternatives. And obviously not in your case. I'm not saying if you would have just had some horse paste, it would have taken all your cancer away.
I take
but
ivermectin.
you do,
I
right?
started
But like for
taking it because here's
yeah.
the thing with ivermectin,
Mhm.
ivermectin, fenben, and menbenzidol, like these
Yes.
anti-parasitic drugs. Whatever conventional treatment you do for cancer will leave behind cancer stem cells. Like the
Mhm.
conventional treatments cannot kill cancer stem cells, and so especially when you have an advanced cancer, these anti-parasitic, like there's multiple studies showing them killing the cancer
cells
stem
themselves.
cells, right? So now we can get into the studies. That's not what we're here to talk about, so I won't go there. But if you're going to tell me that I can go get opioids for free,
Mhm.
but I can't get ivermectin, like
That's what I'm saying.
which has zero side effects, like there is no harm that comes from taking it, none. Go look it up if you don't believe me. As opposed to opioids, there's a fucking problem here, and it is not health related. Like this is not about health at all.
Nope, it is not. It is not. And that's why I was like, I understand from a degree of like, and I'm not saying this woman was doing this at a length, but I'm just saying I understand where there's a scare of like, oh, this is absolute, it's going to cure your cancer and maybe giving false hope. Like I understand that. I understand we got to be careful with our wordings. But again, you should have the ability to choose for yourself, even if you and in the article that I read on my YouTube on Monday, I was reading it and Health Canada was like, or Canadian Cancer Society was like, this is so this is misinformation. There's not a lot of studies on this. Da da da. This is giving false hope. Canadian Cancer Society, you want to step the fuck back because you give a lot of false hope to people and you let them down, even though you're a multi-million, billion-dollar industry. And if someone decides for themselves that they want to go to an allopathic and they want to have that, and even if they die, that's their fucking business. Because if not, you're offering them chemo, radiation, or maids. Fuck yourself. That's how I feel about the situation. If someone wants to choose to do that, and even if they're wrong, that's their choice. You're offering death. So if they go by death by ivermectin and their cancer gets worse, or they go by maids, what difference does that make to you? You just didn't make more money on it. That's what it is. That's what it is.
For sure.
So
yeah,
it's not about care, bitch.
yeah,
Not you, bitch, but them, bitch. You know?
yeah. The studies that there are, and there are actually many studies.
They're saying there isn't
on
in this
ivermectin.
article. Oh, sorry. On
Most
the
of them, there are many studies on
yeah.
ivermectin, and but the thing that the caveat is that most of them are in vitro, so they're not actually done in the body. They're done in a petri dish. I guess. But there's also a lot of anecdotal. There's also a lot of anecdotal evidence, and just take it or leave it. But like when you get to a point like I'm at, where I'm in I've had one recurrence, and I'm staring down the barrel of maybe a second one. I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. You get to a place where you're like, you are gonna do whatever the hell you can to take matters into your own hand, because those are the cards you've been given. Do you really want to trust this industry that has led you down this road so far? The same industry that said that the vaccines were safe and effective, and now it's coming out like, look at all these cancers that are all of a sudden shooting through the roof. Like, at what point do you say, you know what, I think I'm going to do my own homework here and not listen to the American Cancer Society, which stands to gain from suppressing low-cost solutions. And I'm not saying ivermectin will work for you, and I'm not saying it won't. And I am not saying that they, are definitively suppressing this on purpose, and I'm not saying that they're not. I'm saying that I don't give a fuck what they say, because I don't trust them.
Exactly. And I'm open to anything, right? I think that's the biggest thing. I've just been open to understanding that it could be nefarious, or it could just be incompetence. Maybe, I don't know what it is, but it's not right. And for those that are like, my body, my choice, well, then let people choose then.
Yeah.
Like, you're all for until this, except for this, unless you're this, unless you're that. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And like at the end of the day, how about hope instead of maids? And like if ivermectin has no side effects, why the fuck wouldn't you take it? Why wouldn't you try? Like I actually have some. I have some roll on, and I don't know if I'm going through THC withdrawal or if I had a little flu and my body was fighting it, but I was super sweaty and I was nervous. And mom's like, just roll it on because it's not going to hurt to have it. You can't overdose on ivermectin. And the girl that I just had that's going to be on after you, Robin, we were talking about parasite cleansing and she's talking
Yeah.
about gut health and she was talking about how ivermectin, she even had the fucking horse paste and she was using it because it was actually helping her and it actually healed her from a lot of shit that she had. And people she's like, I don't even care. She was like, that was the only way I could get it until I could get it from, was getting it from India and like importing it because at a time that you couldn't get it. And she was like, it literally made me feel so much better. Even just the horse paste, it was nasty, but it worked. And like, sometimes you just got to tell everyone else to shut the fuck up and you decide for yourself. And that's all I ever want.
Not sometimes. Not sometimes, like at all times.
All the time,
I think
yeah.
At all times, you have to remember that it's your health, it's your body, it's your life. And I'm not saying, shut everybody out and make only decisions based on your own homework, but like take all the information in and know that it is your decision. It is not your doctor's decision. It is yours. Yeah. It's not American Cancer Society's decision. It's not Canada Cancer Society. It's like cancer. Your choice at the end of the day. And all I'll say is the more I hear about the government suppressing stuff, like the more I get curious about what must be so good about it. Like raw milk, I'm not advocating for or against it, but I've started looking at it because I'm like, man, they make a hell of a lot of efforts to suppress this shit. Like what's in it?
What's big milk about?
There are certain microbes. I'm at the very beginning of researching this, so please don't like run out and say Torva said drink raw milk because it's going to
right for my cow's teeth.
But there's certain microbes in there in raw milk that are attributed or associated with cancer, like fighting cancer. So that's what I'm kind of like digging into. Like this is interesting.
Anything
and now
demonized.
It's all coming out about how I've been like doing. Like high carnivore, not solely, but I've been eating like a lot of red meat and everything. Like I know this is my healing path. Yes. Now it's coming out like, wow, red meat having healing effects against cancer.
Isn't that crazy? But they won't put you on that in the hospitals when you're healing. You get
they'll give you like
plastic
Krispies and orange
sugar
juice and biscuits and pancakes and
some chips,
syrup and
some syrup. Hey, as the Canadian, listen, syrup is a fucking staple. You're never going to take that away from you. But as you're going through that's not the right thing.
Maple syrup in the hospital.
No,
they're giving you high fructose corn syrup with maple flavoring.
I just want syrup, okay? And that's not. But that's the thing. You know that cancers. Oh yes,
that is a sin in Canada. I'm pretty sure.
It should be. If it's not, it should be. I mean, hey, you could be a pedophile in Canada from the Supreme Court and get away with it. So at this point, there is no crime. Crime doesn't exist in Canada.
Steak and ivermectin heal. There you go.
Yes, that's and you know what? 100%. And that's your experience and you're allowed to say that. And the fact that that gets suppressed or people are like, oh, we're going to raid your whole stores or shut you down because you said that. It's like, I'm so done with that. But I'm just so proud. I'm so glad. Having to do
Bill Gates. Okay.
Yeah. Who says that he wants to get rid of the population by vaccination? Like, come on, you guys. He fucking told you right out loud what he wanted to do. And everyone's like, but the vaccines are safe and effective. I'm like, oh, sweet Lord, I've been gaslit before and I'm here right now. But I just want to say, I was like so proud of like just the whole weekend that you were here. Like our friendship just deepened even more. Yeah. There was so many emotions but we didn't shy away from it. Right. And like, I think that's such a beautiful friendship. Right. It was so cool. Even though I don't like to say we were crying because there was heavy things, but it just felt like we could be just so real and honest. And I didn't feel like I had to like change my house or like make sure my life looked a certain way or even though I was a little bit like, hey, you got to eat a little bit better when Torva's around here. Cause like, you don't want to entice her with some bad snacks.
Your steak.
You can never overcook a steak. Yeah, you can never. Grant was like, he needs a dead cow. I'm like, make sure it's dead. I'll have a little bit of blood. But I was just appreciative that you cook for me. I never cook for myself, so it was a treat. And then getting to meet the girls and Eden and Leia and just like seeing what we do in our lives and like I said, the background on the show and just being able to hug you and just like feel your energy, even though after the big thing that you came for here was like, it was heavy I was just so comfortable to hold that space for you. And it was like, whatever you need, dude, it's yours, right? And I just think people need to do that for their friends, right? Like, because I know if the shoe's on the other foot or when I'm spiraling, you're there for me too, right? So
I'm sitting in my spare room, so you're welcome down here in Texas.
And I got my passport
when
now.
You get tired of the gray and the cold, but I know you're going to Hawaii, so.
Yes, January probably. I think January, February is like just the worst months ever. Yeah, we're going to Hawaii. It'll be when this loads. this following Wednesday, actually. So after this uploads, it'll be like 5 days from Hawaii.
And that's a state I've never been to. So I'm
Really?
excited for you.
Oh, it's one of the only ones I've been to. I was like, I've been to Vegas and Honolulu. Those are
Yeah.
it. Those are the two American places. But I said too, there's a bunch of girls. Like I have friends now in Arizona. I have friends in Florida. I have friends down in Texas. Like
Ooh,
I could.
you're gonna have to do like the southern tour, like drive from
Yeah.
Arizona to Florida.
Yes, I
You'll
was like, I'm
drive
just gonna
right
do
through here.
the Bible Belt, just go, but like Southern hospitality, like I'm fucking in. I was like, I could just do a whole Winnebago tour of the states and just stay at all my guests' house. We gotta have someone for the cats. I can't leave the cats for that long. They can't come with me.
I cannot think about a Winnebago without thinking of the movie Spaceballs.
See, and I was more thinking of We Are the Millers,
Okay,
smuggling
so-
ourselves into the states. Not down to Mexico though. We're not going to Mexico because it sounds not good there. But anytime you want to come back,
just south of the border, no.
No,
You
yeah,
want
no,
to
we're
go
good.
further south for sure.
Yeah, I'm good for now. But anytime, like I said, you and Donovan want to come up here, it's open, and I feel it's so cool to know that if I need to flee, if I need something, like I said, I'm terrified of getting cancer, and nor do I ever want it. But the fact that I have someone that is so strong in it, so honest and open about it, it does make me feel safer.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
knowing that I have you and Donovan behind me for anything. And I know that sounds stupid, but it's just like I really draw from your guys' strength just as a relationship, how much you guys fight for each other, like very much like me and Grant too. So it's just really cool to see people that care about the same things in a different part of the world and also using their voices. Like Donovan's still out there talking shit, like even though he has, maybe not been on the show because he's so busy in school and stuff, but he's still out there, even though he doesn't have to either, still calling shit out for Canada too, right? So please, you guys, like I understand if you need to stop, but I care so much. And his family's here, right?
Yes,
his mom.
Exactly. Yeah, his mom's in Toronto, and of course his daughter's on the island. He's born and raised in Toronto. So seeing the things that he's seeing in Canada, it's just, I mean, it's heartbreaking for him to watch this country that he loved, like just going the direction it's been going for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And it was such a point of pride for him, when he brought his family to Canada, and it was so heartbreaking to see how Canada received us and treated us, and what happened to me. It was so heartbreaking to see like how he took that.
And he had to leave what he built too, right? Like, of course, because he loves you. He's going to follow you wherever. He's going to be there. Obviously, there's new opportunities for him down there, and it wasn't a negative, but I know that was a really heavy thing on both of your hearts. I mean, like, wow, we just created this community, this gym, his business, and now he has to give it up.
Yeah.
But now you guys are thriving, which of course is so great in that sense, right? Like, and you got your own home now, which is so nice because you know that is something that you missed up here, and so that there's so much beauty. But obviously we miss you, and it's bullshit. But I think it's really cool that we get to have this now, right? And I will always help and facilitate. You want to come back up here, do another event, and maybe more in the summertime, and give some more time, and maybe get some more people. Maybe we do a whole event. But I think either way, your first one, that was so cool. It was so cool to be a part. I'm so proud of you, and just honestly, like I said, you guys don't have to, but you do. So as long as you have the strength, please always keep doing this. And you guys, you can always reach out to Torva. She is an open book. She's always here to help. Like you've been helping so many people in your DMs. Just advocate this, always encouraging them to advocate for themselves. Yeah.
At Torva Logan on Instagram and Facebook. Like just shoot me a message. Find me, connect with me, follow along if you want to follow along, shoot me a message, whatever you need. I'm like you said, I'm an open book, and I talk about other things too. Sometimes I talk about like actually what I'm doing to heal from cancer, or some of the lessons that cancer has given me, like and facing death has given me. Like that's a whole other can of worms, Brandy. That maybe that's season 6.
11? We're on season 10.
11.
Babe.
Sorry.
I was like, whoa. Yes, your 6th episode.
Actually, this one. So episode
that's amazing.
7.
7 for you.
Season 11, episode 7. Maybe we need to talk about what it's like to face death. I don't know. Anyway.
100%, because that is my fear and why I've like gone to God and all that kind of stuff, because I'm so afraid of it. So 100% we need to. It's like the different steps, right? Now you're really sitting, not like because you've had your one hiccup and we don't know what's coming, but you've been able to, I think, breathe a little bit more and reflect now that you're in a place that you're safer medically, right? Like I think now your body and your mind is starting to catch up
like
to
when
what
you go
the
through
last
the
2
trauma,
years.
And then you finally come out on the other side of it and you're kind of like, whoa, what just happened? And now you
after the fight
take stock and you come down and you look back and you reflect. I have a story.
Yeah, say it.
So
or you tell me.
Your fans don't know, like as you said, like why you started reading the Bible, and you and I had some theological conversations and have both kind of been talking about like coming to God. I actually went to church today.
And how'd that feel?
The first time we went to a Greek Orthodox church. And today is November 9th, as we're recording this. And so in the Greek Orthodox Church, they have just a number of saints that they kind of venerate, and they have their own feast days and things like that. So we're sitting there listening to the sermon, and the father starts talking about a story when Jesus heals this girl who had died. And because I'm going to totally butcher this story, and I apologize, but this the servant of this family asked Jesus to help this daughter. And anyway, so he tells the story, and then he starts talking about how there was a bishop who is a saint, and he was a healer. He's a 20th century saint, and he was a healer, and this and that. And then he says it's his day, and his name was Nectarios, Saint Nectarios. Not just was he a healer, he is basically the patron saint of healing cancer, and today was his day.
What a
And
day to go.
Donovan and I just looked at each other like,
If that's not a sign, I don't know what the fuck is.
happened. Yeah, of all the days, this
That's
was like
amazing.
the first time we set foot. It was meant to be the story. Like I was meant to hear it.
Yep.
And it was just really, I'm like sitting there listening to this, like tears are streaming down my face, and it was very moving.
Yeah. As I feel like he showed you in that moment, right? Like if there's little signs of being like, hey, you're in the right spot, or you're safe here.
Yeah.
Or there's
the whole
more
thing,
to.
I mean, is he was talking about how it's okay to have other people pray for you. Like you still pray for yourself, but you can ask other people to pray for you too. And this was the message of that kind of led him to talking about this bishop. And this bishop went about healing people, and you know, it wasn't the bishop wasn't healing him. He was working with Jesus essentially to heal people. You know, channeling the spirit of Jesus to heal others. And I was blown away. So
Sounds like someone I know. She might be sitting across from me, not in real life, but right?
I don't know that I've ever healed anybody, but
I think you're definitely
the other
helping
part
a lot
of
of
what
people.
he talked about was actually that, you know, even in cancer, people can have a mission. And that was the affirmation from above that I've always known. Even in cancer, there is a divine mission and a divine appointment. There's a reason for it, whether you heal or not.
Yep.
You know, because for some people, unfortunately, as he was saying, like the mission is actually in the dying. You know, and that's the reality. That's life. Like everybody can't heal from everything. That's not always the path, right? So
that's beautiful, though. What a day to go. I love that for you. Now I'm like, okay, I think tonight, I was thinking Sunday, I'm going to pull out the Bible after I've talked to Torva. I got all my meal prep done. I got all my laundry done, and talking to you, I'm like, let this upload. And I think Girlie's going to go have some CBD because you'd be so proud of me, dude. We've been smoking the CBD. I only have had like 2 on the weekend THC joints and 1 during the weekday. I'm so fucking proud of myself, man.
Good for you.
Like,
Good for
I'm
you.
trying so hard. Like, we've got this Hawaii thing in the bag. We're going to be fine now.
Right.
And my mom's here next weekend, so I'm told her, like, Mom, if you see any THC in my mouth, you smack it out. Like, CBD only and my fume, and that is it.
I've been waiting my whole life.
She's like, oh, yeah, right? Oh, no, she's done it to me before. She'll do it again. I called her a bitch once, and she literally smacked me across the face. I was 9. Never. Even to my adult life, I'm like, you're being kind of bitchy. Like, I will never, ever call my mom a bitch ever again. I learned respect. I'll never do it again. Sometimes you deserve it, Mom. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I was just nice that she's here to keep me distracted that weekend as well. And then Grant comes home on Monday, Tuesday, and working the whole time. And then we're gone Wednesday, and I won't have a choice. But I just didn't want to trip out, right? Like, I just didn't want to be one of those people. And everyone's like, you're going to freak out. You're going to have withdrawals. So I'm like, I don't want to ruin Grant's trip that he's worked so hard to get us. So I'm super proud of myself. However,
you're going to have a great time.
When I come back, doobies out. No, I'm just kidding.
You may not miss it. You may be like,
I might.
You know what?
No, I do want to repair my relationship, so I will no longer be smoking THC in the morning. It's always going to be CBD even when I come back because I just like it. It just feels better. But I would like to have one after work and then before I go to bed. I think those are, respectable times. But, I also don't want to hurt my lungs anymore because, like, again, doing all the things that I know could lead to cancer. It's like, what am I doing? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
actually,
You know
I just
this?
saw lung cancer rates are skyrocketing among young women.
Oh, I can imagine with vape pens, vapes themselves, like all that kind of stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, girly, can we like take some capsules? Can we do some oils? What can we do? However, you can't be perfect. You got to work on your vices. I'm a big bitch when I don't have THC. So we got to work on our inner self first.
Which
We
to
don't want to.
oil, man.
Yeah,
What can I say?
absolutely. It's a miracle. But Torva, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
again, even
you.
though I know things have been,
Thank
you
you for
know,
everything,
Of
like
course.
hosting me, having me in your home, and also being my tech superstar during
Tried
the
to.
talk and helping me get everything done. And I'm so glad you found your microphone.
Oh my God, I was so excited. It was like buried deep in my purse. I'm like, I have amnesia. I don't even remember doing that. And I remember dumping it out, looking, and it was
What's
like,
this
just like,
doing here?
that was pretty much what I was like, oh, I got a text over right away. I found it because my other one broke. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? What have I done? And then I found it. But either way, it been worth the loss. Just seeing
No.
you, hugging you, and just being around
It was
you. And
amazing.
just, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
now, yeah. And you guys are always welcome here. And you guys make sure, obviously, you've seen the event, but go follow Torva. You will learn so much from her. And you guys, thank you so much for listening, being here, supporting us. And until the next episode, bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for listening. I truly appreciate the support. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please follow the Be Real Babe podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Rumble. You can also find me at the Be Real Babe podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Until next time, guys, bye!